I am Kenneth Woodson, Board Chair. This is a formal hearing with the court reporter as well as the Zoom system is recording these matters as well. So we ask everyone to present yourselves as if you are in a formal hearing, if you were in the courthouse itself. So that means no sleeping, no reclining in your bed or your easy chair. Gentlemen should not be wearing hats, no eating, no drinking. You are in a formal hearing. We also ask that you would be patient when your case is called. Each person will be given an opportunity to present their understanding of the facts. Please do not speak out of turn. You cannot speak over anyone because the court reporter cannot make a record if multiple individuals are attempting to speak at the same time. Also, when the law department begins its process of identifying cases that have been resolved, some of them will be noted as moot or moot complied. If your address or name is associated with one of those results, you're done for the day. The matter has been resolved. If you need further explanation, please call the administrator's office and someone will explain that to you. Please do not break into an existing hearing or as we're proceeding. We have a very long list. We want everyone to be heard today. And so if you interrupt us, that prohibits us from moving forward as quickly as possible. Everyone was asked to be here at the same time. However, um, we will hear cases in order. So that means that there may be several hours worth of waiting until we get to your matter. So please pay close attention. We will do everything we can to get these hearings completed as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. We will ask the board itself to introduce itself as well as the other panelists, after which we will hear from the law department and someone will give us a list of all matters that have been resolved. Thank you. Again, I'm Kenneth Woodson, Board Chair.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, Senior Board Member.
Beverly Penn, board member.
Brad McSherry, Board Counsel.
Richard Wade, Board Administrator.
Thank you very much. We will now hear from the law department.
Good afternoon, Chairman Woodson. John Wazorek on behalf of the Law Department.
Thank you very much. Sir, would you mind spelling your last name just for a second?
No problem. Wazorek, Wiczorek.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. McZorek, what do you have today?
So the following matters have been marked as moot, starting with number 7 on the list, appeal ending 4440 for the property located at 166 DuPont Street. The appellant is Gerald Cipollini. That has been marked as moot.
Thank you.
Number 10 on the list, appeal ending 4517 for the property located at 4000 West Girard Avenue. The appellant is David Goldstein. That matter has been marked as moot.
Moot, thank you.
Number 14 on the list, appeal ending 5089 for the property located at 1126 Webster Street. Appellants are Neil McGarry and Daniel J. Raven-Pinto. That matter has been marked moot.
Moot, thank you.
Number 15 on the list, appeal ending 5094 for the property located at 2801 North 47th Street. Appellant is RRE Iroquois LP. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Moving to number 18 on the list, appeal ending 5191, the property located at 2038 West Spencer Avenue. The appellant is Aladdin Ali. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Moving to number 20 on the list, appeal ending 5225 for the property located at 5507 to 17 Germantown Avenue. The appellant is Germantown Square LLC. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Number 21 on the list, appeal ending 5313 for the property located at 4929 North 9th Street. The appellant is Sidney Baylor. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 22 on the list, appeal ending 0005 for the property located at 2506 North 16th Street. The appellant is Terrell Parlin. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 25 on the list, appeal ending 0036. The property is 1936 South 2nd Street. The appellant is Christine Benson Headley. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Number 26 on the list, appeal ending 0050 for the property located at 1241 East Fletcher Street. The appellant is Christopher Smith. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 27, appeal ending 0055 for the property located at 2629 East Madison Street. The appellant is Barbara Niedzikola. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 28 on the list, appeal ending 0068 for the property located at 2006 South Norwood Street. The appellant is Jeffrey Lee. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 30 on the list, appeal ending 0077 for the property located at 4414 Larchwood Avenue. The appellant is Avandi LLC. That matter is moot.
Moot. Thank you.
Number 31 on the list, appeal ending 0079 for the property located at 1718 Emerson Street. The appellant is Barry Klein for the estate of Anna Andrusier. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 34 on the list, appeal ending 0092 for the property located at 1649 South 17th Street. The appellant is Euro Quality LLC. That matter is moot.
Moot.
And then finally, number 36 on the list, appeal ending 0126 for the property located at 2241 Brighton Street. Appellant is Nima Mustafa. That matter is moot.
Moot.
And so now I can turn it over to my colleagues for other preliminary matters. I have two of my own, if the board's willing to hear those now.
Yes, we'll hear those now. And I advise everyone else to use a raised hand sign, and we will call on you in order. Okay, sir, please proceed.
For number 17 on the list, appeal ending 5188 for the property located at 2137 Bryn Mawr Avenue. The appellant was Carlo Batts. The city reached an agreement that was forwarded to the board to settle this matter. It was a city affirm with a 60-day stay of enforcement.
60-day stay. Thank you.
And then I'll turn it over to my colleagues for now. I think I have one more, but I need to pull it up.
Okay, Mr. Thomas Glutza.
Good afternoon, Chairman Woodson and members of the board. I had a few matters to bring to the board's attention today. The first is number 32 on our list. That's ending in 080. The address is 4135 North Broad Street, and the appellant is Angelo Adams. The city has reached an agreement with this appellant for a city affirm with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
90-day stay. Thank you.
The next one to bring to the board's attention is number 51 on our list. That's ending in 0398. The address is 5413 Gaynor Road, and the appellant is Varesh Ajua. This property, we've also reached a agreement, and it is a city affirm with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
Did you affirm 90-day stay? Okay, thank you.
Additionally, I had one more moot to read onto the record. That is case number 48 on our list, appeal number HA 2024-000-307, 922 McKean Street, with Ralph and Anita Ferreira as the appellants. That is moot.
Moot. Okay, thank you. Okay, did that complete your list?
That does complete my list. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Michelle Reinhardt.
Good afternoon. I have just one administrative matter. This is regarding number 1 on the list for
Okay.
3521 North 18th Street. The appellant is Evelyn Smith, and I believe she has joined by phone. This was for, this is the second listing for the appeal. The issue is that the record owners are Joan Kennedy and Patricia Franklin. The city believes that Ms. Smith does not have standing in order to bring this appeal.
Okay, Ms. Smith, are you present, please? Miss Evelyn Smith. Mr. Wade, would you unmute?
Unmute.
Yes. I just heard from someone. Evelyn Smith.
*6 to unmute. *6 or *9, Ms. Smith.
Okay. Well, let's do this, Ms. Reiner. No one's responding at the moment. And so what we will do is call this in order. And if in fact she is not present at that time, we will dispose of the matter.
Thank you.
Do you
Sure.
have anything else?
I think she's asking, right? She has her hand raised. I'm
Oh,
asking her.
okay. She's
I'm
muted
sending
now.
her a prompt. I know, I sent her a prompt to unmute.
Hello?
Hello? Miss Evelyn Smith, would
Yes.
you turn your video on,
Yes,
please?
I was trying to unmute.
Okay, do
I
you
don't
have
have
that?
a smartphone.
Okay.
No, I don't have a smartphone.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Miss Smith, we will raise your right hand and say, do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Okay, now explain to us your relationship to this property on 3521 North 16th Street, North 18th Street.
Yes, I am the owner of the property.
But your name is not on the deed.
I went down to get the records.
But I'm asking,
I
your
just
name
don't know
is
how
your
to
name
get
on
them.
the deed?
Yes, I went down to get it switched over. I just don't know how to get them to you guys.
When did that happen?
When I had my first hearing and you guys gave me an extension till today, I went down to the office to get the deed switched over.
Okay, which I think you probably need to have a conversation with the city's attorney, Ms. Reinhardt. Would that be helpful at all, Ms.
Okay.
Reinhardt?
I don't believe so, candidly, because I checked the city's records, I mean, not the public records regarding the deeds, they should have updated. There's nothing on file. We haven't been sent anything. So it's the city's position that there was an extension given to today in order to show proof of ownership.
Okay, and Ms. Smith, you're saying that you have something in your possession that proves that you're the owner.
Yes.
And what is that document that you have?
It's just a document from the place saying that I got my name switched over to be the owner of the house.
Okay. Do you have a recorded deed with your name on it?
Yes, it's a piece of paper. Yes.
No, you're
just don't know how to
misunderstanding me.
get
A piece of paper is not adequate description. You need to tell me what's it the title? What does it say that piece of paper says?
It just said on the top of the paper, it just says deed to property 3521. I don't know if that's the correct form or not. And I don't
Okay.
know how to fax it over to you guys. Well, I can fax it over if I had the fax number.
Okay. Ms. Reinhardt, do you have a fax number that you could give her in the breakout room?
I do.
Okay, let's do this. Ms. Smith, we're going to give you an opportunity to speak with the city's attorney, Ms. Reinhardt, in a separate forum while we attend to other business. And hopefully the two of you can work out how to get a copy of that document to her. Okay? I'm not sure what happened.
She's in the breakout room.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. If you would accept the invitation to that breakout room as well. Okay. All right, Mr. Christopher Johnson.
Good afternoon, board. I want to first raise an issue with regard to number 2 on today's list, the appeal at HA-2023-004263 for 12064 Abbey Road, the appeal of Alexander So. I understand that Mr. So had written to the board and asked that the appeal be marked as withdrawn, and I wanted to confirm that that was the result.
Not aware of that. Mr. Wade, is that your understanding? Have we received any communication?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So noted. So Mr. Johnson, that will be marked as withdrawn.
And then briefly, I know that Mr. Wazorek had read off on the list that number 10 had been marked as moot. I know that Mr. Goldstein is still on the line. I just wanted him to understand that that was an appeal of an SVN that had been paid, I believe, by his tenant, and it's been mooted out by paying the site violation notice. So I don't think there's anything left to do on that case.
Okay, we explained earlier,
Mr. Goldstein doesn't need to appear.
Okay, Mr. Goldstein, this is a public forum. You're certainly permitted to stay if you want, but you're not required because your matter has been resolved. You can unmute yourself if you needed to. You're still muted. Okay, don't see him any longer, so he may have mistakenly disconnected. But okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll move on.
And also, one last request. Could I go into a breakout room with Attorney Stern?
Yes, Mr. Wade. You see, Mr.
got
Wade. Yep. Okay. You should give it in. Both of you should have an invite for a breakout room. Okay, Mr. Sean Logue.
Good afternoon, Chairman Woodson and members of the board. I have two preliminary matters to call the board's attention to. The first is case number 16 on our list, appeal ending in 005161, address 1629 South 7th Street, appellant Tracy Chan. My understanding is that Ms. Chan reached out to the board to request a continuance via email. I think she also called. If she did not, in fact, communicate that request, I have corresponded with her over email, and the city does not oppose continuing that matter.
Okay, Mr. Wade, do we have communication?
I have to look it up, but I don't have it right in front of me now.
Okay, let's do this. Let's move on, Mr. Logan. We'll come back to you with that one. We just need to check our records. Do you have anything else?
Yes, I have one other.
She did reach out to you for the continuance request, and you don't oppose.
Correct.
I believe it's the.
She said she emailed board's administration.
Okay.
The request.
I believe it's the first request.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll mark that matter 1629 South 7th Street as continued.
Okay, and then I have one other appellant continuance request to call to the board's attention. This is case number 24 on the list, appeal ending in 000026. Address is 4245 O Street. The appellant is Elizabeth Cuevas, and the appellant through counsel Harry Cook requested a continuance by emailing board's administration, and the city does not oppose that.
Okay, that matter will be noted as continued.
All right, and that concludes my preliminary matters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Mr. Lee Begelman.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I have a few preliminary matters to bring to your attention. Starting with case number 5 on the list, appeal number ending 4405. The address is 6836 Ogons Avenue, appellant Willie Robinson Jr. We have an agreement for a city affirm with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
90-day stay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have 6836 Ogans Avenue. I believe Mr. Begelman said 6336.
That it's correct. It's 6836 Ogons Avenue. Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
Thank you.
Next, one moment. Find it. It is case number 33 on the list. Appeal number ending in 0091. The address is 959 to 67 North 8th Street. Appellant Dornelis Construction, Inc. We also have an agreement that is a city affirm with a 60-day stay of enforcement.
City affirm 60-day stay. Okay. Thank you.
I have another agreement to read into the record. It is case number 50 on the list, appeal number ending 0346. The address is 5726 North Lambert Street. Appellant David Jenkins. We have an agreement for a city affirm with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirm 90-day stay. Okay.
Yes. And finally, I wanted to bring the board's attention to case number 29 on the list, appeal number ending 0076. Address is 5447 Tackawanna Street. Appellant is Alfred Edmonds, doing business as AME Electrical LLC. I emailed the board, I believe yesterday, about this matter. The responsible party for the violation is an LLC. But the appellant has informed me he does not have an attorney and doesn't wish to get one. And I don't know if the board has discussed this matter in executive session or if you want to address it when the case is called.
Yes, it was noted that LLC is required in executive session. Is Mr. Edmonds present or anyone representing the AME Electrical LLC? Mr. Edmonds, are you present?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, sir, would you mind turning on your video? Okay, would you raise your right hand, sir, so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, the violation notice was written to AME Electrical LLC?
Can I say so?
Answer my question. Answer my question.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It
sir.
was written to the AME Electrical. Okay, that requires, if it's an LLC, this board requires. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. If you are a corporate entity, if you including an LLC, we require that you be represented by an attorney when you make an appeal to this board.
Okay.
Now, what is your response?
I am not AME Electrical. I am AME Mechanical. It was sent to me. It's the wrong name of a company, but it was sent to me.
Okay, so your position is that it was sent to the wrong company, not to your company.
Yes, it was sent to AME Electrical LLC. It has my address and everything, but that's not my company. My company is AME Mechanical.
Okay, just for a moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me hear from the city on this.
One moment while I the exhibits. Apologies for the delay. I believe there might have been a potentially. I don't know for sure, but the site violation issued and was included in the city's exhibits emailed over to the board. The responsible party listed is AME Mechanical LLC. The list of today's cases does say AME Electrical LLC. So I just want to pull up the appeal form to see if there's another. No, the appeal form. I apologize. The appeal form submitted by Mr. Edmonds with the site violation attached to it. That responsible party is AME Mechanical LLC. So there might have been a transcription issue in compiling the list for today, but the site violation notice was issued to AME Mechanical LLC.
Okay, so does that suggest that this is the wrong party?
No, I believe Mr. Edmonds, I don't want to speak for him. I believe he was saying that he does not have a company called AME Electrical LLC, but he does have a company, AME Mechanical LLC.
Correct.
And so therefore this violation notice was correctly issued to AME Mechanical LLC. But if I am incorrect about that, then Mr. Edmonds may.
This is, I believe that the appeal was filed. The appeal was filed by AME Mechanical LLC. The site violation notice was issued to AME Mechanical LLC. I believe that is just a typo on the list, that it should say AME Mechanical LLC.
Oh, okay. So it should be AME Mechanical, not electrical for today, on our list today. Okay. All right. Mr. Edmonds, you understand what we just said? What was just said?
I understand, but there's been multiple mistakes in this. As far as they're saying they never got a report, the inspector
No, no,
has.
sir,
I
no,
know.
no, no, no.
Okay,
We
I
weren't
know.
hearing the facts of the case.
Yeah, I know.
What I'm
Okay.
just trying to understand, what we need to get through these preliminary matters before we determine how to proceed. And so, if in fact there was a typo and that the correct party is AME Mechanical, and that's who we will hear from today. But the second piece of it, we can't proceed unless AME Mechanical was represented by legal counsel. Okay? And so you need to get an attorney that represents AME Mechanical to be heard for an appeal to be heard by this board. Okay? That's where we are today. Anything else?
No, just no.
Okay.
We're
So
conti-
we're going to have to continue this then until you can get yourself an attorney.
Right.
Okay. Sorry about the mix up on the typo, but I think
The
we've
whole
cleared
case
that
is a
up.
mix up, but that's beyond the point. Okay.
Okay. But you need an attorney to
Right.
represent you in the appeal process. Okay? Thank you very much for today. Mr. Bagel, anything else? But we're going to continue it so you can
I
get
have
legal
no,
counsel.
yeah, thank you. I have no other preliminary issues. I have one more case on the list. I do not see the appellant present, but again, we can call that case.
We'll
in
call
order.
that in turn. Yeah, we'll call
Great,
that in
thank
turn.
you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Will Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several preliminary matters to run through, starting with case number 12 on the list, appeal number ending in 4811. The address 1201 Kerper Street, the appellants Dante and Celeste Fulganetti, represented by William O'Brien. The city has actually made a continuance request in this matter. There's a somewhat complicated zoning question essential to this appeal. And I've been researching it, and I think that there is a good chance that this is resolved before it comes back to the board.
Is there William O'Brien present? Mr. O'Brien, are you present? Or anyone representing his office?
He may not be present. I think when I emailed board administration notifying them that I would request the continuance, he was copied thereon, and he may have taken that as essentially permission to not attend the hearing.
Okay. You don't have any sense of whether he was opposed to the continuance request?
Oh, he was not opposed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll note it as continued. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have case number 13, appeal number ending 5007, 5357 Lancaster Avenue. Appellant is Changing Lanes Transport LLC, represented by John Dantino. This case, Mr. Dantino requested a continuance request. After reviewing the case file and LNI systems, I didn't oppose it. They are close to getting zoning approval. That's the first step that they need to do in order to comply the violations. I spoke at length with Mr. Dantino, and based on that conversation, I'm confident that the client is that his client is diligently working towards complying the violations. And so I did not oppose his request. I think it may have been administratively granted.
Okay, so we'll note for the record that that matter has been continued.
Thank you. Jumping to appeal number 38 on the list, ending in 0263. Address 1700 Frankfurt Avenue. Appellant Kate Pisano for, I think, Grit Construction. This appeal, I believe it's been withdrawn. Is that consistent with your records?
Mr. Wade?
Give me 1 second to confirm.
Thank you.
That's correct. It's withdrawn.
Okay, so we'll note it's withdrawn.
Okay, I have two matters remaining. One is number 24 on the list. I skipped it. Appeal number ending in 0020, address 31 to 49 Snyder Avenue. Appellant Goldenberg Associates LP, represented
Okay,
by.
wait a minute. Would you give me that number again, please?
Yes, the appeal number ends in 0020, and it's number 24 on the list.
It's
23.
23, Mr. Chairman, I believe.
23.
23. Okay.
Pardon me. Goldenberg Associates LP, represented by Christopher King. This is a appeal regarding a special assembly occupancy license. Mr. King requested a continuance, I think about a week and a half ago. I consulted with my client. They were not opposed to the request. And I believe this one might have been administratively granted as well.
Yes, we noted that in an executive session that was continued.
Okay. And then final matter is number 42 on the list. Appeal ending in 0281, address 714 Sansom Street. Appellants David and Stephen Rosen, represented by Reed Slogoff. This is another one where this is a city request for a continuance with the strong likelihood that the violations are withdrawn and possibly reissued under a new case file number. There were some errors identified with the notice of violation. No decision has been made at this time 100% to withdraw the violations, but it's a strong likelihood. So I would ask that this be continued, and then I will immediately notify board administration if indeed the violations are withdrawn.
Okay, is anyone present representing Reed and Slogoff? Anyone present?
I spoke to Mr. Slogoff yesterday. I think he said he was still planning on appearing at the hearing, but regardless, the city's request is the same.
Okay, we will continue that matter.
Thank you. And then I have one other matter that it's neither a continuance nor a withdrawal, but it's a matter that I think might be quickly resolved because there's no actual dispute as to the facts. I can give a very brief summary.
Which one are we referencing?
Well, I'm sorry. This is case number 19 on the list, appeal number ending 5199, address 4231 Cotman Avenue. Appellant is Lura Haxhistasa.
Okay, what I'd rather do, Mr. Fernandez, I need to hear from everyone else with preliminary matters. Then I'll call you back in order, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Mr. John Wazorek again.
Good afternoon again, Chairman Woodson. If I could direct the board's attention to number 53 on the list, appeal ending 1181 for the property located at 6630 Chew Avenue. The appellant is Germantown Properties LLC. The city reached out to the appellant ahead of the hearing. An agreement was reached for a city affirm and a reduced fine of $150.
Okay, city affirm $150 fine. Okay.
And then there are a few additional matters that I failed to initially mark as moot. As you can see, the city falls apart without Mr. Rulo.
Okay.
So if I could just run through those matters quickly.
Sure, please.
Number 37 on the list, appeal ending 0129 for the address 2002 South 23rd Street. Appellant is Amanda Shen. That matter is moot.
So noted.
Number 39 on the list, appeal ending 0265. The property is 823 to 29 North 3rd Street. Appellant is Mark Brunner. That matter is moot.
Moot. Okay.
Number 43 on the list, appeal ending 0287 for the property located at 1714 Loney Street. The appellant is William Swan. That matter is moot.
Moot.
Number 45, appeal ending 0289 for the property located at 921 Lindley Avenue. The appellant is Alan Smith. That matter is moot.
Moot. Thank you.
Number 48, I think this may have already been read into the record as moot.
Yes, that was moot. Has been read in already.
And then finally, number 49, appeal ending 0324 for the property located at 136 Chestnut Street. The appellant is JB Chestnut LLC. That matter is moot.
Moot. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. All right, Miss I believe Miss Michelle Reinhardt.
Good afternoon. Thank you again. I briefly had a conversation with Ms. Evelyn Smith, who again is on the phone only in a breakout room, and she indicated that she was not able to send to fax anything over immediately, and raised a number of issues that I believe that the board would be asked to make a decision on. So I wanted to raise this back to your attention.
Well, if we can't establish ownership and standing, there's no really real reason to proceed. But let's do this, Ms. Reinhardt. We'll come back to this as soon as we get through these preliminary matters, and I'll call you up again because I want to hear from everyone else, and because it may require we get some additional advice from council. Okay? So
Okay.
we'll give you a moment. Mr. Johnson?
Yes. With regard to the matter of number 40 on today's list, HA-2024-000-266, 3931 Brown Street, the appeal of Donna Bocella. I had a chance to talk to attorney Douglas Stern in the breakout room, and we've agreed to ask the board to mark it as city affirmed with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
Okay, so there's a settlement.
Yes.
City affirmed 90-day stay of enforcement. Mr. Stern, present?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, sir, do you affirm that that's in fact what you've agreed to?
Yes, all we need is a reinspection and that should take care of everything. That's why we're settling.
Okay, thank you very much. We will so note that it's been settled. Thank you.
Thank you. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. You excuse Mr. Johnson. If you have any witnesses, they are excused as well.
Okay, Inspector Alicio can leave. Thank you.
Okay, alrighty. Mr. Thomas Galuzza.
Good afternoon once again. I happen to notice that the appellant for case number 41 on the list is here in the meeting room. Would it be possible to be placed into a breakout room with her? Unfortunately, we were unable to connect during the period before this hearing. Her name is Xia, Xia,
I got it.
Oxia, Lou.
I got it. Do you need an inspector?
No inspector needed, just the breakout room, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And you're welcome, Mr. Fernandez.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Hello.
Yes, you have your hand up. Is there another matter you need?
No, I apologize. I just forgot to lower it in the first place.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. So let's do this. The board itself has a few questions, so we'll run through those quickly, and then we will get things started. Okay. Number 17 has been settled. Just give me a moment here.
But I have one other additional matter I would like to raise.
Okay, just one moment. Let me just finish checking my list here. Number 44, ending in 0288, 1423 Spruce Street. David Lowe. Who's representing this matter for the city?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter, Senior Attorney, City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reuter. There's an issue regarding legal representation. Is anyone present representing Mr. David Lowe? We believe that's a violation is written to LLC, which requires legal counsel.
Yes, this matter was actually previously continued for just that reason. The position of the city is also that this appeal is moot. But it was continued because Mr. Lowe needs to have legal counsel. The property is owned by an LLC, and so it's not an appeal from a violation. It's an appeal from designation by by a decision by the Historical Commission.
Okay.
But the property is owned. I don't see Mr. Lowe here today.
Okay. If Mr. Lowe is not present, Mr. Rauner, what is your pleasure?
The city would ask that the appeal be dismissed for failure to appear.
Okay. What time do we have?
Let me confirm service.
Yes, my apologies.
Mr. Lowe listed 1423 Spruce Street as his mailing address. Hold on one second. Never mind. Mr. Lowe listed 12603 Biscayne Drive as his mailing address. Notice of this hearing and the prior hearing were both sent to that address. The most recent notice of this hearing was sent October 29th.
Okay.
I would like to add that Mr. Lowe was in fact present at the last listing of this matter. Therefore, those addresses and email contacts are accurate. He got the notice last time. There's no reason why he wouldn't have for today's hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. What time do we have, Mr. Pincus?
1:31 p.m.
1:31 p.m. Alrighty. We will poll the board regarding HA 2024-000-288-1423 Spruce Street, David Lowe, City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. That matter is resolved. Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson, you had something else for us?
Yes, briefly, it's been brought to my attention that there's an appeal for Mr. George Fallu. It's number 6 on the list, HA-2023-004416, appeal for 7143 Edmund Street, and it regards a use registration permit at the property. I've been made aware that there's a zoning board of appeals hearing scheduled for February 19th that's going to dispose of the issue. And for that matter, it probably, to save time and for sake of judicial economy, we would suggest that this hearing should take place after the ZBA hearing.
Okay, is Mr. Fallu available? Mr. Fallu, are you present? Mr. Orge Fallu, Jorge Fallu,
Mr. Chair, I
F-A-L-U.
see him, but he's muted.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
present.
Okay, sir, did you understand what the city's attorney just represented?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any opposition to continuing today's hearing?
No.
Okay, so we will note for the record that this matter is being continued to after the February ZBA hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. ZBA in February. Okay. All right, thank you. Mr.
And may
Johnson.
all of the city's witnesses be excused for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Fallu, you also excuse if you choose to check out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't believe there are any other preliminary matters. So I guess let's go back to number one, Mr. Wade, unless there's any other requests that we call out of order.
There's no request for call out of order. We do have a Spanish interpreter for case number 9, though.
Okay, let's do this. Let's deal with number one, and then we'll go to number 9. I want to see if we can dispose of this matter. But before we do that, I'm going to invite the board to join me in the breakout room. We're going to go off the record for about, it's 1:34. We'll be back about 1:40. Okay? Okay, before we get started, Mr. Galuzza, did you have something else preliminarily you needed to present to the board?
I did, yes, thank you. While the board was away, we were able to come to a settlement on that final matter. Just to refresh the board's recollection, that was number 41 on our list. The agreement was a city affirm with a $150 fine.
Okay, there's a settlement.
Yes, that's a settlement.
And it's city affirmed with a $150 fine?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Your
Thank
witnesses
you.
are
And
excused.
just, yeah, Ms. Luke could be excused. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. The appellant is also excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's recall number one, Mr. Wade.
This is case number 1, hearing appeal ending 3249, 3521 North 18th Street, Evelyn Smith.
Okay, Miss Evelyn Smith, are you present, ma'am?
Hello.
Miss
Hello,
Miss Smith.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes.
Yes,
Just
I'm
want
here.
to, just for a moment, Ms. Reinhardt is also present. Ms. Smith, what is your relationship to the individual's names on the deed of the property?
I am the biological daughter of Miss Patricia. Patricia.
And the other person's name?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. This does not sound like the name of the person, the voice of the person that identified themselves on the phone as Ms. Smith to me.
Okay, is this Evelyn Smith?
Yo, she's talking for me. Miss Michelle, I have my aunt on the other phone. That's why you can hardly hear her, because I told you she has breast cancer and she's battling chemo. So
Okay,
I'm talking
the
for
only-
her. I'm doing chemo. I'm on the chemo. She's at chemo right now.
Okay, in terms of what we need to do today, the only voice I want to hear is that of Evelyn Smith. Who is that voice?
Okay, so I have her right here. Let's see if you can hear
Okay,
her.
wait a
Mr.
minute. Hold on a
Chairman.
minute. Stop for a minute. The person we spoke to earlier was what is your name, ma'am? You spoke to us earlier.
I am Miss Smith's niece. I'm
Okay.
handling stuff.
What is your
because she
name?
has cancer.
What is your name?
Angel.
Angel what?
Angel Smith.
Okay. All right, Angel Smith, you represented yourself as Evelyn Smith when we began this conversation. And so you can't do that. So this is what we're going to do, because if you have a document that shows that Evelyn Smith is the rightful owner, her name is on the deed, then you need to take that to Ms. Reinhardt at the law department. So we're going to give you a short continuance. We're not going to hear this matter today. You need to drop that document off at Ms. Reinhardt's office so she can see it. And we will reschedule today's hearing. I'm not sure who's speaking in the background. We may have to mute that person. We will continue today's hearing, and we will reschedule and come back. Ms. Reinhardt, as you're fully aware, you need to determine if the appropriate name has standing. We will reschedule this. If it doesn't, we will dispose of it at the next hearing. Okay?
Understood. I would make the request though that this was a problem at the last hearing that Smith was
on this phone.
calling in and was talking through someone.
Wait. Please mute Ms. Evelyn Smith, Mr. Wade. Please mute that call, please. Thank you. Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you. Ms. Smith was talking through the phone for someone else, and someone else also identified themselves as Ms. Smith, as happened here as well. The board at that time instructed that Ms. Smith must appear herself. So I would reiterate the request that if this happens again, that this not be viewed as an appropriate appearance.
Okay. Secondly, we will also require that whoever calls in, Ms. Smith must be viewable. That means she must be able to go on the record both by video and voice so that we can confirm who she is.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, as we also discussed, this may require legal counsel by Ms. Smith in order to clear up any issues of title. And if they don't have access to an attorney, they should consult with the Philadelphia Bar Association or Community Legal Services, whatever their financial circumstances. But this may require involvement of an attorney to clarify legal ownership of the property.
Okay. And so when Ms. Reinhardt reviews the document that will be dropped off by her office, she'll be able to share that advice if it's not what it's reported to be. All right, thank you so much. Ms. Evelyn Smith, you can unmute that now. Just want you to understand that we're going to continue this matter so that you can drop that information off by the law department to Ms. Reinhardt. Understood?
Yes, and when is the continuance? I'm confused.
We will get you a
little
new
bit.
date. We don't know the date yet. That you will get something in the mail or via email. Okay?
Yes, and I did go to the mayor's office and I
Now,
did
listen
speak
to
with
me,
Miss-
ma'am.
All right.
We want to continue this matter. We have to move on to other
Okay.
cases. Okay? And you must use
So just wait for something in the mail.
yes, ma'am. And you must use a
Okay.
device that permits you to open your video the next hearing.
Okay, I'll
Understood?
get my niece's laptop.
That will be fine.
And can I have Miss Michelle's phone number?
Miss Reinhardt, can you give that to her?
I can give that in a breakout room. Yes.
Okay, the two of you need to go back into a breakout room so she can give that to you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right. So this matter, HA 2023-003249, 3521 North 18th Street, Evelyn Smith will be continued and must be heard.
Michelle, you have room 3 already.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now let's go on now to number 9.
We'll call number 9 then. I know Mr. Fernandez wanted to call a case, but we have the interpreter for 9.
Let's go to number 9.
This is case number 9, hearing appeal ending 4509 5402 Charles Street, Santa Mateo.
Okay,
Who's the Spanish interpreter?
Very well. So I'm the interpreter, Leonel Gillen, spelled Leonel, last name Guillen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that you faithfully translate the proceedings in this matter regarding 166 DuPont Street from English to Spanish and Spanish to English? Strike that. 5402 Charles Street. My apologies. Do you swear or affirm?
I swear.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gillen. Okay, so thus from this point forward, sir, please interpret.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wade, would you call that in so that we can get the appellant to appear?
Muy bien. Señor Wade, ¿puede llamarlo para que llamemos al apelante, por favor?
Case 9, hearing appeal ending 4509.
Caso número 9, terminación 4509.
Sí.
Yes.
5402 Charles Street.
5402 calle Charles.
Sí.
Yes.
Santa Mateo.
Santa Mateo.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Senator Mattel, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn?
Ok, Santa Mateo puede levantar su mano derecha para que la podamos juramentar.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
¿Jura de que el testimonio que va a dar el día de hoy es la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You place your hand
Gracias.
down.
¿Puede bajar su mano?
Okay, who's representing the city?
¿Quién está representando a la ciudad?
¿Perdón?
Good afternoon.
Oh.
This is Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Muy bien, muy buenas tardes. Ese es Christopher Johnson representando a la ciudad de Filadelfia.
Okay,
And
Mr.
I apologize to inform the board that the witness is away from their desk and should be back available within 5 to 10 minutes. Would it be possible to hold this until the next case?
Y me disculpo, pero quiero informarle a la Junta de que el testigo se levantó del escritorio y puede regresar en 5 a 10 minutos. ¿Es posible esperarnos al siguiente caso?
Sí.
I have two questions, Mr. Johnson. One to the interpreter. Sir, did you, I know that there's some time restrictions, but if we start your participation at 10 after 2, is that a problem?
Your Honor, I have an appointment starting in another case starting in 30 minutes. If we can conclude before, then great.
I believe the witness is on. It is Inspector Salim Mohammed.
Okay. All righty. Salim Mohammed, are you present? Salim Mohammed.
He's on the call.
Okay, he's muted. Okay, Mr. Johnson, would you mind calling him to see if he's available so we can get started?
I will right now.
Mr. Chairman, looks like we lost the appellant.
Yeah, I see her video stopped as well.
Señorita Santa Mateo, ¿puede poner su cámara, por favor? Gracias.
Okay, Ms. Mateo, we're going to attempt to start now.
Okay, señorita Mateo, vamos a tratar de comenzar en este momento.
Sí, gracias.
Thank you.
Just give us one moment.
Denos un momentito.
Okay.
Okay.
One moment, we'll be on.
En un momento ya nos vamos a conectar.
First one, you're definitely prepared because you got on 2 days.
Emergency here.
So how was it?
Okay, I'm not sure. Someone's giving us a lot of background noise.
He asked you to just give him 1 more minute, sir.
Okay, Mr. Johnson,
Hi.
is your
Mr. Mohammed, are you available?
He said just give him 1 more minute. I'm here with him, technical assistance.
Yeah, I'm here. Just give me one moment. Okay, my apologies. Let me start my video here.
Okay, let's get started. Okay. Let me swear in Mr. Muhammad.
Vamos a juramentar al señor Mohammed.
Mr. Muhammad, there's considerable noise in your background. Can you ask your colleagues to?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Is that better? Can you? I told everybody they need to mute themselves. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the background noise is bleeding in. Is it possible for you to be in a room that has a closed door because everyone around you is talking and we are hearing their conversation?
Okay, all right. Let me see if I could give me one more adjustment. I'm sorry, guys. Good job. Just okay. That's okay. All right, I think we may have it solved.
Okay, good. Okay, Miss Mateo, will you unmute yourself? We're going to begin.
Señorita Mateo, puede. Exacto, eso.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, please proceed.
Procedamos.
The city calls Salim Mohammed.
La ciudad llama a señor Salim Mohammed.
Mr. Mohammed, can you please tell us where you're employed?
Señor Mohammed, ¿nos puede decir dónde está empleado?
Yes, I'm employed in the construction unit for license and inspections in the city of Philadelphia.
Sí, yo soy empleado de la unidad de construcción para el departamento de inspecciones y licencias de la ciudad, para la ciudad.
And how long have you been with the Department of Licenses and Inspection?
¿Por cuánto tiempo ha estado trabajando con el departamento de licencias y permisos?
Approximately 10 years.
Aproximadamente 10 años.
And have you served as an inspector during that time?
¿Y has funcionado como inspector durante ese tiempo? Sí.
And are you also a supervisor?
¿Y también es supervisor?
Yes.
Yes. No, sí.
I am going to share what's been marked as City Exhibit C1 at this time, if it please the board.
Yes, please.
Voy a mostrar unas imágenes, compartir unas imágenes que lo que ha estado clasificado como exhibición C1.
Okay, the background noise is getting, the volume is going up. So, Mr. Muhammad, is that you or is that Ms. Mateo?
That may be, we might have another background issue. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah. All right, I think Again, my apologies to the board. This was a last minute addition, and I believe that we have the last remaining issue of the noise resolved.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
Yes. Inspector Mohammed, can you see what's marked as page 1 of Exhibit C1?
Señor Inspector Mohammed, ¿puede ver la que está marcado como exhibición 1? ¿La página 1? Sí.
And can you tell us what that document is?
¿Nos puede decir qué es ese documento?
This is a violation notice and an order to correct that violation.
Es una notificación de violación y una orden para corregir esa violación.
And for what address?
¿Para qué dirección?
The address is 5402 Charles Street.
La dirección es 5402 calle Charles.
And what was the date of the notice?
¿Cuál es la fecha de la notificación?
The date of the notice is October 3rd, 2023.
La fecha de la notificación es el octubre 3, 2023.
Can you tell us what the violation was cited at that property?
¿Y nos puede decir cuál fue la violación que fue notificada?
A violation was issued for building a retaining wall that is more than 2 feet without a building permit.
Se hizo la notificación de la violación por la construcción de una pared de retención que es más alta de 2 pies sin el debido permiso.
Does the Philadelphia Code require a permit for any retaining wall more than 2 feet?
Y el Código de Filadelfia solicita un permiso de construcción para cualquier pared de retención mayor a 2 pies de alto.
Yes.
Sí.
I'm scrolling down to the next document. What is the document marked as page 3 of Exhibit C1?
Estoy bajando hasta abajo, puede ver cuál es la notificación que aparece en la página 3 de la exhibición 1, C1.
This is a final violation notice.
Esta es una notificación final de la violación.
And what was the date of that notice?
¿Y cuál fue la fecha de esa notificación?
The date of the notice is March 14, 2024.
La fecha de esa notificación fue marzo 14 de 2024.
And was this the same violation?
¿Y esta es la misma violación?
Yes.
Sí.
I'm now going to direct your attention to page 5. Is this another copy of the final notice?
Y voy a dirigir su atención de nuevo a la página número 5. Esta es la otra notificación otra copia de la notificación final.
Yes.
Sí.
And that was also issued March 14th, 2024?
Y también fue emitida en marzo 14 de 2024.
Yes.
Sí.
And that one was issued to Santa Mateo?
¿Y esta fue emitida para Santa Mateo?
Yes.
Sí.
I'm now going to direct your attention to page 7 within the city's exhibit packet.
Ahora nos vamos a ir a la página número 7 del paquete de exhibiciones.
What does page 7 show, Inspector Mohammed?
¿Qué muestra la página 7, Inspector Mohammed?
Yes, this is the front of the property, and it shows the retaining wall that was built out of concrete block.
Sí, esta es la parte frontal de la propiedad y muestra la pared que fue construida, la retención, la pared de retención.
And is the address of 5402 clearly visible in the photograph?
¿Y la dirección de 5402 claramente visible en la fotografía?
Yes.
Sí.
And can you tell what date was this photograph taken?
¿Y me puede decir en qué fecha fue tomada esta fotografía?
The date is September 29th, 2023.
La fecha de septiembre 29 de 2023.
And can you tell us, is this the type of retaining wall that would require a building permit?
¿Y nos puede decir si este es el tipo de pared de retención que requeriría permiso de construcción?
Yes.
Sí.
And can you tell us, was a permit ever obtained to comply the work or to construct this retaining wall?
¿Y nos puede decir si algún permiso alguna vez fue emitido para completar esta pared de retención?
No.
No.
You can tell it's a fresh wall. Are there any indicators in the photograph that tells you that that was freshly constructed?
Podemos ver de que es una pared que completamente fresca. ¿Hay indicadores que señalan de que es una pared fresca?
The wall itself appears in an unfinished state. Usually, it would be covered by some type of exterior covering that would cover the concrete blocks.
La pared en sí, parece la obra en sí, parece que está en una etapa que no está completada. La parte exterior debería estar cubierta, alguna cobertura que tape los bloques de concreto.
Does it appear that the mortar and the concrete could be either wet or freshly drying?
Pareciera de que el material y el concreto pareciera que no están, que están frescos o que están húmedos todavía.
Yes, it could be.
Sí, pareciera.
Are these all in Exhibit C1? Are these records that are kept by the department as a normal part of the department's business practices?
Estos son registros que están dentro del departamento como prácticas normales.
Yes.
Sí.
And these are all accurate records based on information kept with the normal business practice of the department?
Y todos esos son registros precisos y correctos que se mantienen de manera correcta, obtenidos de manera práctica y correctas según el departamento.
Yes.
Sí.
At this time, I'm going to ask that C1 be admitted to the record.
Voy a solicitar que se acepte el C1 al registro.
So admitted.
Admitido.
The city rests.
Ok, descansa en la ciudad.
Ms. Santos, do you have, Santa Mateo, my apologies. Ms. Mateo, do you have any questions for the inspector based on his testimony?
Señorita Santa Mateo, ¿usted tiene alguna pregunta para el inspector basado en el testimonio?
En sí, nosotros, yo hice esa pared más o menos en la fecha que él tiró la foto. Y pido perdón porque no sabía que esto iba a llegar hasta tanto, no sabía que tenía que pedir un permiso.
Okay.
Would you interpret that, please?
Yes, sir. So yes, I want to say that I did build that wall in that date that is indicated there, that the photograph indicates. And I'm sorry that I didn't know that it was gonna get this big and that I needed to ask for permission.
And she misunderstood me. I wanted to know if she had any questions for Mr. Muhammad, not testify. Does she have any questions for Mr. Muhammad based on what he's already said?
Muy bien, creo que no me entendió. Quería saber si usted tenía preguntas para el señor Mohammed sobre lo que él testificó, no si usted quería testificar, solo si tiene preguntas.
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Gracias.
Any additional witnesses for the city, Mr. Johnson?
¿Algún testigo adicional, señor Johnson?
No, Chairman.
No,
okay.
Señor presidente.
Ms. Mateo, do you have anything else you want to share with us regarding this wall?
Señorita Mateo, ¿hay algo que nos quiera compartir con respecto a esta pared?
La verdad, no.
No, to be honest, no.
Okay, thank you. So, ma'am, did you understand what Mr. Muhammad said regarding the height of the wall that requires permits? You understand that now?
Señorita Mateo, ¿usted entendió lo que dijo el señor Mohammed en cuanto a la altura de la pared que se necesitan permisos? ¿Sí entendió esa parte?
No sabía que por la altura había que sacar un permiso, la verdad. Si lo hubiera sabido, no lo hubiera hecho, porque me gusta hacer las cosas bien.
I didn't know about the height, to be honest, that I needed to get a permit. If I would have known that, I would have asked for permission because I like to do things correctly.
Anyone else have any questions for
I-
Ms.
I do,
Mateo?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sí, yo tengo una pregunta.
This is for Inspector Muhammad.
Este es para el inspector Mohammed.
Am I correct that because of the wall's height and the material, the department would probably not issue a permit and this matter would require a zoning variance?
Es correcto de asumir de que debido a la altura de la pared y los materiales utilizados el departamento probablemente no hubiera dado un permiso y que se hubiera necesitado un permiso de zonificación.
You are correct. If it was a fence, wooden fence or of other material, there are different requirements. A concrete block wall of exceeding the height limit of 24 inches may also require a zoning permit. So you may need a zoning permit and an additional building permit to legalize the structure.
Y es correcto, si hubiera sido un cerco de madera o otro material, sí, pero eso es un bloque, una pared de bloque de concreto que es más alto de 24 pulgadas, así que en ese caso sí se necesita un permiso adicional de zonificación.
Okay.
I just want to be sure Ms. Mateo understands that this wall, not only is it not approved, but it may not be permitted at all.
Solamente quiero que la señorita Mateo entienda de que esta pared no solamente no está aprobada, pero probablemente no se permita para nada.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions before we call the vote on this?
Muy bien, ¿alguien más tiene alguna otra pregunta antes de solicitar la votación?
Okay, Mr. Mohammed, have you spoken to Ms. Mateo, or do you know if any of the inspectors spoke to Ms. Mateo regarding how to resolve this?
Señor Mohamed, ¿usted ha hablado con la señorita Mateo o alguno de los inspectores ha hablado con la señorita Mateo con respecto a este caso?
Not to my knowledge.
Hasta mi conocimiento, no.
Okay, Ms. Mateo, did you call the department to determine how to resolve this violation issue?
Señor, ¿usted llamó al departamento para determinar cómo resolver este caso?
¿Conmigo?
With
Sí.
me?
Yes, did you attempt to call the department or contact anyone regarding how to resolve the violation?
Sí. ¿Usted trató de contactar al departamento o contactó a alguien para ver cómo resolver el asunto?
Sí, yo fui a la oficina en 2 ocasiones, al centro de Filadelfia, y me pidieron que una carta que diga cuánto medía la pared y también me pidieron que le hicieran unos hoyos para que el agua saliera y yo lo hice también. Los hoyos para que saliera el agua ya están listos. Y me pidieron un plano también.
Okay.
de la
Yes, I went to
construcción.
the office in 2 occasions, to the center in Philadelphia, and they asked me for a letter that said how high the wall was. And they also asked me to build some holes so the water would go out. And those holes are already done. So they are ready. And they also asked for some blueprints.
Okay. Did she submit the blueprints?
¿Y usted sometió ingresó los planos?
Precisamente ya yo contraté a una persona que me hizo los planos y los permisos. Entonces ya están en el sistema. Él me dijo que ya ustedes lo pueden ver para ver el procedimiento.
I actually hired a person to do the blueprints and process the permits. And he told me that they told me that they were in the system, so you can actually see them and see the whole process.
Okay. Thank you.
Gracias.
So, Mr. Mohammed, are you aware of anything being filed to correct this violation?
Señor Mohammed, ¿usted está consciente de alguna algo que se ha sometido para corregir esto?
The only thing I see in the system at present is a draft of a permit application for the retaining wall that was submitted October 5th of this year.
Sí,
All
lo
right,
único que yo estoy viendo en el sistema es un primer escrito para una aplicación del permiso para la pared de retención que fue sometido en octubre 5 de este año.
thank you. Okay, thank you. There's nothing else. We will proceed to call a vote on this matter.
Mr.
Muy bien.
Chairman, can I ask
Yes.
for a very brief
Yeah, because we're going to lose our interpreter in about 5 minutes.
it'll take less than 5 minutes.
Okay, let's
It'll take 2 minutes.
We'll go off the record for 2 minutes and we'll be back directly to record our vote. Thank you.
Ok, vamos a bajar, salir del récord en 2 minutos y regresamos en 2 minutos.
This is regarding HA 2023-004509, 5402 Charles Street, Santa Mateo. The interpreter is muted. Sir, please unmute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Ok, este es con respecto al caso con terminación 4509 con la dirección 5402 de calle Charles.
Okay. I will start the vote. City affirm 120-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed 120-day stay of enforcement.
Let's
Vamos
let
a
the
comenzar.
interpreter. Let's let the interpreter interpret each vote. Yeah.
Muy bien, vamos a pasar a la votación. Entonces pasamos a la votación. Son 120 días para reforzar este mandato.
City affirmed with 120-day stay of enforcement.
Afirmación por la ciudad, 120 días para reforzar el mandato.
City affirmed with 120-day stay of enforcement.
Afirmación por la ciudad, 120 días para reforzar el mandato.
City affirmed with 120 days stay of enforcement.
Afirmación por la ciudad, 120 días para reforzar el mandato.
City affirmed with 120 days stay of enforcement.
Afirmado por la ciudad, 120 días para reforzar el mandato.
Okay. Thank you very much. That resolves this matter. Ms. Mateo, I just want you to understand that what we've done is to confirm that, in fact, the violation is valid.
Muy bien, gracias. Entonces, con eso resolvemos todo. Y señorita Mateo, quiero que entienda de que lo que acabamos de hacer es confirmar de que la violación es válida.
But we've also asked the city not to take any additional enforcement action for 120 days. It gives you time to try to get everything corrected.
Pero también le pedimos a la ciudad para poder que no tome acción para reforzar nada por 120 días. Y eso le da chance a usted para poder arreglar todo.
Thank you. Everyone have a good afternoon. That concludes the hearing for this matter.
Gracias, eso concluye y tengan bonita tarde.
The witnesses are excused.
Puede salir, puede desconectarse, señorita.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Mr. Wade, what do we have next?
There was a request for case 19. There's also been a request for possible continuances on cases 3 and 4.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
I will be leaving.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, sir.
You too. Bye.
Let's hear from 3 and 4 regarding the continuance request. If you could read that in.
I think the attorney might be in a breakout room.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to 19 if the attorney isn't present.
Hold on, let me see. Michelle Reinhardt.
Hi, I am here.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Do you want me to read them in, or is she just gonna?
Read in the first one so we can put it on the record and then decide what we're gonna do.
Case number 3, hearing appeal ending 4324 4733 Salem Street, Gil Perez, and case 4, Case 4, hearing appeal ending 4325 4731 Salem Street, Gil Perez.
Okay, Ms.
This
Reinhardt.
is Gil Perez here. I'd like to be heard.
Okay, well, let's hear from the city first. They made a request, so I want to hear from the city. Ms. Reinhardt?
Yes, thank you. I just found out during this hearing that the scheduled inspector, Inspector Hollis Travell, is out today and is unable to testify as a result. We are attempting to find a backup witness currently. And if we could circle back to a continuance request, I just wanted to let the board and Mr. Perez know as soon as we learned it as well, in full disclosure.
Okay. Is there any value in the two of you having a discussion in the breakout room? Is there any possibility of resolution?
I don't think so. Hearing officer, chief hearing
Okay,
officer.
I was hearing.
I'd like to be heard.
Well, your response to this, well, actually, at the moment, there is no dispute because they may in fact have a witness. If they don't have a witness, then we'll come back to you and get your response to the city's request for continuance.
Your rules require that people be present at the
We understand your
beginning of
rules.
the hearing
I'm
with
trying
witnesses.
Sir, listen,
And
listen
I
to
have been
me.
asked to
Mr.
sit here
Perez,
now for 2 hours.
Mr. Perez, you may be here for another hour or so. What I'm attempting to do is to be as efficient as possible, but we're going to recall this matter when we get to on the list, and we'll go back. And what Mrs. Reinhardt is attempting to do is find a replacement witness. If we don't find a replacement witness, then we have to decide how to dispose of this matter today. Understood?
This tribunal has defaulted multiple parties for
Mr.
not
Perez,
appearing.
Mr. Perez,
for
we're going
a
to mute
minute.
you. We're going to move on. Let's call another matter so that we can do that. Thank you. What do we have next?
Will, did you want case 19?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wade.
This is case number 19, hearing appealing 5199 4231 Cotman Avenue. Laura Hexisatara Tasasa. Apologies.
Okay. Who's handling the city's
Good
appeal?
afternoon,
Response,
Chairman.
rather.
Will Fernandez for the city of Philadelphia.
Afternoon. And who's representing Laura Extasa?
Good afternoon. My name is Bill McLaughlin. I'm counsel for Ms. Hashtasa, and she's here.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Hastasa, would you mind pronouncing your name correctly for us, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Hajistasa.
Hajistasa? Okay, our apologies. Mr. McLaughlin, will she be testifying today?
I believe so.
Okay. Ma'am, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth to help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, you have an attorney representing you today. If you have a need for a confidential conversation during the hearing, just make a request. We'll put you in the breakout room so you can do that. I always advise appellants who have representation that please pay close attention to what your attorney advises you during this hearing process. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who's representing the city?
Mr. Chairman, before we proceed, I would just like to put on the record that Mr. McLaughlin and I are longtime acquaintances and neighbors, and from time to time, he and I have discussed matters involving the Department of Licenses and Inspections. Most often, I don't know whether an address has been mentioned. I have no recollection of ever discussing this particular property with Mr. McLaughlin. If in fact he has a recollection of so doing, I would have to recuse myself. But I just want to point out that I do have a cordial relationship with Mr. McLaughlin.
And Mr. McLaughlin, is this matter ever been subject of conversation with you and Mr. Pincus?
No, it has not. And I do appreciate Mr. Pincus's candor. For the record, we served on an RCO together for several years. I do know Mr. Pincus as a neighbor and an attorney in the community, but I've never discussed this particular case with him in any context whatsoever.
Mr. Fernandez, any objection to Mr. Pincus hearing this matter?
Absolutely not, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy for Mr. Pincus to hear this matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Given that, we will proceed. Mr. Fernandez, your witness.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may first just briefly outline the context of this appeal.
Okay.
I think maybe there's a chance that testimony doesn't is not necessary after the circumstances are explained. It's a little bit of a different circumstance. So I learned some of this through my discussion with opposing counsel in the last few days. In short, the appellant here is the owner of the property and had a tenant living in one of the units. The tenant was arrested and the apartment searched, and a number of weapons, possibly bomb-making materials, dangerous chemicals were discovered in the apartment. In order to have the dangerous materials removed, specifically the chemicals, L&I responded to the scene and designated the property unsafe. There's a number of reasons that properties can be designated unsafe in Property Maintenance Code, Section 108. And so after the property was designated unsafe, the reason it was cited as unsafe was in part to allow for city contracted abatement, removal of the materials. And so the materials were removed. A bill for the cost of said removal was sent to the appellant in this matter. And then the violation that is at issue before the board today was closed out as resolved upon the removal of the materials. The reason that I didn't present this matter to the board as complied and therefore moot was because Mr. McLaughlin has a pending appeal of the bill with the tax review board. And so I didn't want to create the impression on the record that the violation was not heard if the board deems hearing further evidence about it to be necessary. I didn't want that later impacting the appeal of the bill that's pending at the tax review board.
Okay, so essentially the underlying violation has been resolved.
Yes, it has been closed out by the Department of Licenses and Inspections. It was closed out via the abatement, the removal of the materials.
Okay. And so the costs associated with it are outside of the purview of this board. And so we wouldn't be deciding that in any case.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last part of that?
Yeah, the issue that Mr. McLaughlin is now working to appeal has to do with the costs that have been assigned to the owner of the property, which is outside of the purview of this board.
Well, so Mr. McLaughlin appealed both the notice of violation and then separately the bill to the tax review board. So there is an appeal of the notice of violation. That is what is before the board right now. But technically, the department has closed out that violation. It's no longer open.
Yeah, so that's moot as we speak.
Yes, but I wanted to put this on the record because I didn't want it to be, I didn't want the tax review board later when they're reviewing the petition to adjust or remove the bill. I didn't want them to look back and say, well, they challenged the underlying violation and they never had their day in court. I don't think there's an actual dispute over the facts. I don't think there's a dispute that when the chemicals and the alleged bomb-making materials were in the apartment, that it was unsafe for habitation. I just wanted to, present this more thoroughly to the board than I would if I were just having it marked moot complied.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McLaughlin, anything you'd like to add before we resolve this?
No, that's essentially accurate, what Mr. Fernandez stated. That is my first argument, that this is essentially moot. I believe that it was complied the same day that these materials were removed. Obviously, my client, with respect to the facts, she had no knowledge of what was going on, and she will so testify. But for present purposes, the violation was complied, I think, the same day or the next day. And so I would take the position that it is in fact moot for present purposes.
Okay, so in essence, we needed to make sure there was a record of the basic facts of the matter, and I think that's been placed accurately on the record by both parties. Given that, we should just note this as a moot matter and move on. Anyone object to that?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the issue is if it's noted as moot, it might confound the matter on appeal. And what I think I'm hearing, and I don't know whether we need another brief executive session, is either we should affirm the city or sustain the appeal, though in fact the violation was properly issued, so that the proper action would perhaps be to affirm the city. But it sounds like perhaps you don't want to necessarily prejudice the appellant in the other proceeding that she has.
Yeah, except Mr. Fernandez said that the underlying violation had been resolved, had been closed out.
Yes, the
So, Mr.
underlying
Chair, would it,
But let him
Mr.
finish.
Chair, would it be,
Wait,
aye,
Mr. Tennant, wait, Mr. Tennant, Mr. Fernandez.
go
Well,
ahead,
I was
Mr.
just
Fernandez.
no, that is okay, Board Member Tennant. I was just going to say that yes, that is correct. The violation is closed out. The city's preference would be for a city affirmed disposition. Yeah, that would be the city's preference, since I think that would create the cleanest record that, there's no dispute that at the time of issuance, the violation was correct. Failing that, if the board does decide to just mark this moot, I can send a memorializing email to opposing counsel and to board administration, kind of just one paragraph describing the contents of the hearing, and put that in the file for the tax review board. But the city's first request would be that this be marked city affirmed, and I'll give Mr. McLaughlin my assurances that to the best of my knowledge, having appeared before the tax review board going back a decade, that should have no negative impact on his ability to litigate his petition of the eventual bill that was resulting from this violation notice.
Yeah. Mr. Mullock, any argument regarding the city's this position regarding completeness as a city affirmed? Any argument?
Ultimately, I believe that it should be marked as moot for present purposes. And my issue with the affirm, of course, is that I don't want to prejudice my client moving forward. My ultimate position is going to be that the city should seek restitution for this from the bad actor. There's a federal indictment against this former tenant, which outlines some of the facts that Mr. Fernandez went through. So my position ultimately before the TRB is going to be that the city should seek its restitution in that case from this, essentially the wrongdoer here. But the present case is the city and my client, Ms. Hajistasa. So I feel like that puts me in a difficult position, and that maybe if that's the case, we should make a record of the situation, and the board could hear the facts, hear her testimony as to what she knew and what steps she took when she became, I mean, she lives in the property. She was at great risk of anything happen. So
I don't know if this would be sufficient, but if this is a stipulation that could help resolve that concern at all, yes, Ms. Haxistasa is listed as the responsible party on the notice of violation. However, of course, as defined in the code, responsible party in this situation is just the owner of the property. It is not meant to imply or suggest that she is responsible for causing the condition that gave rise to the violation. It's meant to just mean that absent city abatement resulting in compliance, she would be the party responsible for addressing the violation after the fact. So I have zero reason, absolutely no. In fact, I've read the articles about the arrest. I'm confident that Miss Haxistasa was, just the innocent landlady in this situation, and there's certainly no intent to suggest that she was, involved in creating the conditions that resulted in the violation here.
Okay, this is what we will do. We will take a short break and go off the record so that we can confer with the board and our council, and we'll be back to you in a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
Mr. Chairman.
With regard, we believe that we've heard the record has been adequately established by both parties, and so we will now poll the board regarding HA 2023-005199. 4231 Cotman Avenue, Laura Haxistasa. That's Haxhistasa. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, the vote is based on the record that was created. We understand you have other things to deal with, and we know that this matter was beyond your personal involvement. But for the sake of responding to the code as it's written, the city affirmed vote was appropriate. Thank you very much, Mr. McLaughlin. Good luck on your next move.
And thank you. May we be excused?
Yes, have a good afternoon.
Have a good day.
Good afternoon, Mr. McLaughlin.
Yeah, the witnesses are excused.
Thank you,
Thank
members of the board.
Okay,
And I think that concludes my business for today. Thank you very much for your
thank
time.
you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank
All
you.
right, so who's next, Mr. Wade?
Ms. Reinhardt has come to an agreement on a matter.
Is that 3 and 4?
No.
Okay, what's the matter, Ms. Reinhardt?
Good afternoon, board. This is number 52 on the list. This is property 2221 Greenwich Street regarding Foundation Developers LLC. Attorney Nick Palazzo is on the line for appellants.
Yes, hi. This is Nick
Okay.
Palazzo for appellants. How you doing?
Good afternoon. Ms. Reinhardt, what is the agreement?
We have an agreement to affirm the city's violations with the exception of the lack of premises identification, which was already complied. So the remaining violations are city affirmed with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
Okay, Mr. Palazzo, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, city affirmed with a 90-day stay of enforcement. Is that it?
I want to make sure I guess I'm not clear about something. My understanding was that the violations were not affirmed, but that there was going to be a 90-day grace period to show compliance. Is that not Ms. Reinhardt's understanding?
The proposed agreement was city affirmed on the violations that are not already complied, which is just the one for premises identification, with a 90-day stay of enforcement by the department in order to allow time for compliance for the remaining violations.
Okay. And so the effect of that, just, I hate to,
Okay,
just
now
wanna
if the
be
two of you
clear.
need more time to talk, then you need to do that in breakout room. We have other cases to hear. So if you haven't
Because
come to,
I'm not entirely clear.
okay, the
I would
two of you
appreciate
should,
that.
okay, let's go. You two should go in the breakout room. So I don't want to negotiate on the record. Okay. All right, we'll come back to it. Mr. Wade?
Yep, just let me give them a room.
Thank you.
Okay, so 3 and 4, obviously, Ms. Reinhardt's in the breakout room. That would bring us to case number 8.
8, okay.
Case number 8, hearing appeal ending 4505 5432 Market Street, Matthew Novatanak.
Okay, who's handling that matter for the city?
Chairman Woodson, I believe that is also Ms. Reinhardt.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay, let's move on.
Case number 11.
Schedule.
Case number 11, hearing appeal ending 4530 2810 North Marvine Street, Joey Wilson.
Okay, who's handling that one?
I am Lee Bagelman on behalf of the city.
Okay, thank you. Is Joey Wilson present or anyone representing Joey Wilson's interests? Joey Wilson. Mr. Bagelman, have you seen that person's name today or spoken to the person?
I have not seen him on this call. I did attempt to email him prior to today's hearing. It was either yesterday or last week before the Thanksgiving. I think it was that last week before the Thanksgiving holiday. I did not hear back. This matter was initially listed in October. I don't know the exact date. The city requested a continuance and he opposed it, but it was continued to today. Like I said, I emailed him prior to today's hearing, but did not get a response from him.
Okay.
Mr. Wilson listed 2802 North Marvine Street as his address. He was present for the 10-8 hearing. Notice for that hearing was sent to 2802 North Marvine Street on 8/22. Notice today's hearing was sent to 2802 North Marvine Street on 1010
Okay,
and 1029.
okay, thank you very much. Mr. Begerman, what is your preference?
The city requests this be affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
2:52 p.m.
2:52 p.m. Alrighty. With regard to HA 2023-004530, 2810 North Marvine Street, Joey Wilson, City affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. That resolves that matter. I think, Mr. Wade, I think we need to go down to 35. I think that would be the next matter.
Yes.
Okay.
Case 35, hearing appeal ending 0097, 805 South Front Street. Arthur Gibbs, doing business as veteran of Foreign Wars Post. 8051.
Okay, 805 South Front Street. Who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter, Senior Attorney, City of Philadelphia.
Okay, good afternoon. Who's representing the interests of 805 South Front Street?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, this is Robert Hirschman. I represent the appellants. They are Arthur Gibbs and VFW Post 8051. This is an appeal from an art commission decision on a public work of art.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Hirschman, will you have any witnesses today?
I have two witnesses. Both are present. My client, Art Gibbs, is going to be a witness, and also Mr. Patrick Daly. They're both on.
Okay, if both gentlemen would raise their right hand so that you may be sworn. See Mr. Gibbs and that's Mr. Daly. Sir, would you unmute yourself, Mr. Daly? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
I do.
Thank you very much. You can place your hand down. Okay, Mr. Rohr, do you have any witnesses today?
Prior to today's hearing, Mr. Hirschman and myself reached an agreement to stipulate to the authenticity of the records that were provided by the city to the board. That is the record of the Art Commission, the relevant parts of the record of the Art Commission. So we have presented that and reached a stipulation. It's the city's position that because this is an appeal from another agency decision from the Art Commission, that the matter, if we get into the merits of the matter, which is an issue I'll discuss in just a second, if we get to that, that it's essentially legal argument, in effect like an appeal, very, very similar to an appeal from the Historical Commission. Essentially was the decision of the Art Commission plainly erroneous based upon the record that was presented to them. So we've reached a stipulation to the authenticity of the record, and it would be up to Mr. Hirschman and the appellants to convince the board that the commission's decision was erroneous based upon that record. So that's essentially a legal argument. Preliminarily, however, the first issue that the board needs to address is the timeliness of this appeal. This matter has been the subject of litigation in the Court of Common Pleas. The appellant here initially brought an action for a writ of mandamus to compel the city to not essentially allow the erection of the sculpture in question at 800 South Front, and that mandamus action ultimately was dismissed by the court, and that dismissal, the order of the Court of Common Pleas is currently on appeal to the Commonwealth Court. In the meantime, a motion for the city had pointed out that no appeal had been taken from the Art Commission decision, and that it was not ripe for a writ of mandamus, basically a failure to exhaust argument. And the appellant here filed an injunction, filed for a preliminary injunction to allow a non-protunct appeal to be filed. The court ultimately dismissed, and I'll show that in a minute. That's one of the documents we submitted to the board. The court, what the court did is that the court didn't grant the motion, but it specifically allowed or essentially directed the appellant to file this appeal to the Board of L&I Review from the Art Commission, and to and specifically to have this board make a determination as to whether the appeal is timely. So the first issue the board has to address is the appeal timely? And then if the board decides it's not timely, then that's the end of the case, and they can go back and appeal that back to the Court of Common Pleas. If the board decides that it is timely, then perhaps we can, we'll get into the merits today, or because this is potentially a very lengthy, involved matter, perhaps we would do that in another session. So I'm going, if I so
Just
that's
one
basic. That's
just
kind of
one
the
point. Just
an
one
opening.
point
Yeah.
of one point of clarification. Was it Commonwealth or Common Pleas that directed this appeal to the board?
The Common Pleas. Let me, if I can share my screen without objection. I will share my screen and pull up a copy of the court's order. If
Okay.
of course, I had it up a second ago, and now I don't. There were several orders in the Court of Common Pleas, so I just need to make sure I find the right one. All right, so I'm pressing the share screen thing, and I'm not getting anything to come up. There we go. Can you all see that?
Nothing yet. Now we have. Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, this court order dismisses the motion to file an appeal non-protonc is dismissed without prejudice to their right to file the appeal with the appropriate administrative agency, which they believe is this board. And if this administrative agency denies the appeal is untimely, then they can then file a petition to the court asking for leave to appeal non-protonc. In effect, what the court is saying is that you can't you can't ask the Court of Common Pleas for the allowance to file an appeal non-protonc unless you've asked the board in question first. So that's essentially what the court did here. Is they said you have to go ask the Board of L&I Review whether they can hear a late appeal first, and then if you don't like what they do, then you come back to the court. So the issue here initially is whether or not the appeal brought before this board is timely.
Okay.
And it's the city's position that it's not, and we're even willing to grant the time that they filed the initial action at the Court of Common Pleas as the operative date. I don't have a problem saying, okay, we'll just even treat that date as the date this appeal was filed, even though that's not true. This appeal wasn't filed till
Well, would you share the facts around the time sequence of dates then?
Yeah, that's just so we understand. I just wanted to make that by way of our opening argument. I don't know if Mr. Hirschman wants to respond first by way of an opening to get into, and then we can get into the timing of everything, because that's kind of,
Okay.
going to be
we'll hear from Mr.
one of
Hirschman.
the lion's share of the case, at least today.
Yeah, Mr. Hirschman, what do you have to offer?
Let me first say that it is accurate that we did stipulate to the exhibits that were produced, and it runs both ways. If I may share my screen.
Yes, let me stop sharing.
Thank you. My first response would be that I do not agree with the characterization offered by counsel that the first issue here is whether this is a late appeal issue. My request was for a late appeal. I think it's a mischaracterization of the order that was given. We already brought up the fact that this, what the facts were surrounding the way that this final decision, it's in quotes, in my petition for a reason, and the board has approved. This hearing, that issue is moot. Everything that happened in regard to whether this is a mandamus action or not is irrelevant. We are here for a reason. The reason is to decide the merits of the decision that was made by the Art Commission. This is not a late appeal decision. We're here for that. And I can also, again, if we look back at that order that was brought up, I don't have it on my screen and ready to go, but I can tell you that what that order stands for is go. if you get in front of the board, which we're here for today, then we're ready to go. So we've asked for a late appeal. The late appeal is granted. I have considerable arguments as to why what the Art Commission considered to be compliance with the law that governs the 30-day appeal period, which is 42 PACS section 5571, was not complied with. I do not believe that's why we are here today. My first response is that this is a late appeal. That issue is moot.
Okay, Mr. Hirschman, what's the date of that letter? I just want to see the date of this letter.
That's from January 5th of 2024.
Okay, and did you receive a response?
Just that the board had approved this here, approved the late appeal in the sense that my understanding is that we were granted this hearing today.
I'm asking you, did you get that in writing?
The fact that we got the ability to be here today is
No,
my
that's not an answer to my question. You submitted a formal request for a late appeal. I'm asking that you get a response.
Well, it was accepted. Does the timestamp?
That's not the answer to my question. The issue is, did you get a written response?
This is the response that I have.
Okay, so you don't have a response. Okay, that's fair enough. I just need to understand whether, because most late appeal requests require a written response. That's why I'm asking.
I was unaware. My understanding was we were here to go to the merits. That's why my response is, Mr. Chairman, again, if we need to get into that, was hoping we wouldn't. I have a response to why the appeal should be allowed. I thought we were past that.
Okay, all right,
So,
that's fair enough.
Again, just so I think I can clarify a little bit of the confusion here. The board has developed a practice over the years where a person, and that's the form that Mr. Hirschman showed, can request a late appeal. And what the board did, and again, I have no independent knowledge of whether the board provided any additional response or anything to the appellant other than to notify them that this case had been listed for today. It is the city's position that the board really wouldn't have the authority to just simply grant a non-protunct appeal sua sponte. They can request that the board hear or take in an appeal late, and then the city would have the opportunity to respond why, whether the city says, sure, that's fine, we don't have an objection to the late appeal, or no, we do have an objection to a late appeal, which in this case, we do. I mean, the city made substantial argument in the Court of Common Pleas why this appeal should be deemed late. And it was our understanding and our opinion, we think the court's order clearly contemplated that this board would consider whether or not it was a late appeal. To the extent that the board might have considered granting the late appeals on its own initiative without the input of the city, we think that would be an error, that the board doesn't have the authority to do that. I am not aware that the city was notified specifically of the late. We knew that they were going to be bringing an appeal, and we would assume that it would come back to the board in a public hearing where we would first argue whether or not the appeal should be heard at all as a late appeal.
Okay.
And then, and only after that's resolved in the appellant's favor would we go to the merits. I do want to point out.
Wait, just before I have a question that I need to have answered. If we decide that this late appeal matter is resolved in favor of Mr. Hirschman's clients, Mr. Rauter, are you prepared to go today? Do you have appropriate witnesses, etc., for today?
Well, again, it's the city's position that the merits, because this is an appeal from the Art Commission, and you have the record, the relevant portions of the record of the Art Commission. You also have the documents that Mr. Hirschman provided, that it's essentially legal argument. The city can produce a witness if necessary, if the board has questions, but we believe that the record, because I've stipulated to Mr. Hirschman's documents.
I'm trying to understand. Are you prepared to go if we say we want to hear it? That's all I need to hear. Okay, you're prepared to go. Okay, all right, thank you. So what I'm going to do, I need a moment.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
I apologize for interrupting you. I do have, if you allow me to find it, if I may share my screen one more time.
Okay.
I don't know if this will, can you see what I'm looking at?
I'm not sure what you're looking at.
Okay, well then I'll take that as a
No,
no.
you are sharing your screen now, sir. We
I
see your
am.
screen, yes.
And I guess I have been the whole time. I wasn't aware. This is the reply. They have granted my late appeal request.
Okay, what's the date of that email?
That is from March 22nd,
Okay.
2024. Your
Yes,
appeal
okay.
will be heard in the normal course of business. So again, I arrived here believing that we are ready to go on the merits. I will not in any way hamper Mr. Reuter, who's been nothing but gracious and professional in my interaction with him, if he needs to get a witness. But I am ready to go today. My client is eager to go today.
Okay, thank you. The board does need a moment in executive session. We will get back to everyone. We're going off the record for about 3 minutes. Uh, if you could stop sharing your screen so we can get a better view of everyone just for a moment. Thank you. Okay, this is where we are after conferring and listening to counsel. What we prepared to do today is we want to complete this argument regarding timeliness of the appeal. I know this is a bit of an odd position to take given the documentation, but we think it's appropriate in this matter. We want to hear that argument both from Mr. Ryder and Mr. Hirschman. The record for the underlying matter is fairly magnanimous. It's a large amount of material for us to review and to go through. And so we're going to probably have to do a bifurcated hearing. We're going to hear this argument of the timeliness matter, and then we will continue this matter for further review. If we are willing to approve a non-proton hearing, we will then schedule an additional hearing time because it will be extensive. So let's do it that way. Mr. Ryder, you want to begin with this, or do you want Mr.
Sure.
Hirschman to begin?
Pardon me. No, I think because the city's raising the argument that it should not be heard, non-pro, or that the board should not accept a late appeal in this case, I think it will probably go first on that.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think we also discussed, and I just want to confirm, if we're hearing it solely on the issue of timeliness, whether Mr. Hirschman is prepared today to argue on that issue or needs time to prepare.
Good point.
Because I believe he stated he thought he was here to present a case on the merits of his appeal.
Mr. Hirschman?
I just want to make sure I understand, and thank you very much, Mr. Pincus, for giving me that offer. I want to again point out, and if I can share my screen again, because I don't think this is an issue.
But Mr. Hirschman, no. We'll be asking you, if we do proceed with the timeliness hearing, are you prepared to make those arguments or not?
We understand, if I may, we understand that the letter may have created some confusion that you're alluding to that was issued by the board. We understand that. We believe that from a procedural standpoint, it's necessary to hear this matter with respect, at least hear the issue of timeliness of the appeal. That's what we've administratively decided to do.
I understand, but and I believe that you understand my position, which is I have a letter from Sherrill Alford, who's the manager of the litigation support unit, that says the Board of L&I Review has granted your late appeal request.
We understand that.
Yeah, all right, then let me answer your question. Thank you. If you understand that, may I please just make sure that that part's on the record? That is an email to me from March 22nd, 2024 from Ms. Alford.
That's on the record. We heard that was put on the record before we took the break.
I would appreciate the opportunity to be more prepared for this argument where we are about to go through what Mr. Reuter believes is the timeliness issue when they made their final decision. So
that's fine.
Myself and my clients, it's not what I'm here for today. Thank you for that opportunity, Mr. Pincus.
So what we will do, for the record, we will continue this matter to give the appellants opportunity to prepare the argument on the non-pro tunc request, and we will then proceed from there. We apologize for the inconvenience, both for your client and for yourself. So we're going to continue this matter.
Your apology is greatly appreciated and unnecessary. I've been impressed with what I've never been here before. Been very impressed. I'll let you guys do what you do, and we'll look forward
Okay.
to getting the hearing.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. All the witnesses are excused, and we will move on to the next matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
this is Nick Palazzo. Ms. Reinhardt and I, we do have an agreement regarding
Okay,
2221 Greenwich.
I need to hear from Ms. Reinhardt first. Before we do that, before either of you say anything, I need to hear from Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, do we have anything else that we need to deal with first?
I think we can go for Ms. Reinhardt's issues and then finish up with cases 46
Okay.
and 47.
Okay. All right. Ms. Reinhardt?
Thank you. This is regarding case number 52 to start out with. Again, this is 2221 Greenwich, regarding Foundation Developers LLC, represented by Mr. Palazzo. The settlement is city affirmed with a 90-day stay of enforcement, except for the violation for the premises identification, as that was already complied previously.
Okay, so except for complied violations.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Palazzo, do you agree?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you very much. That matter is noted as settled. City affirmed, 90-day stay of enforcement, except for complied violations. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you,
afternoon.
Mr. Chairman. May we be
Okay.
excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Reinhardt. Ms. Reinhardt.
You're muted, ma'am. Yes.
I'm going to call cases 3 and 4, but before that, I believe you have case number 8. I don't know if you have witnesses for that case, but I don't believe the appellant's here. I can call that so you can release your witness.
I do have a witness. Thank you.
This is
Okay,
case number.
But
I'm
I'm sorry,
sorry.
Mr. Wade. Ms. Reiner, do you have witnesses for case number 3 and 4?
I do, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, Mr. Wade.
This is case number 8, hearing appeal ending 4505 5432 Market Street, Matthew Novatanak.
Good afternoon, Michelle Reinhardt for the City of Philadelphia, Reinhart.
Thank you very much. Anyone present representing Matthew Novatanak? Anyone present? Okay, Mr. Wade, would you confirm service?
Mr. Novatanak listed 150 Gay Street as his mailing address. This matter, he was previously present on 10/8/24. Notice of today's hearing was sent to 150 Gay Street on October 29th.
Is that Philadelphia address or Westchester address?
It's Philadelphia 19127.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Reiner, what is your pleasure?
We would request city affirm for non-appearance.
Thank you. Time, Mr. Pincus?
3:25 p.m.
Thank you very much. 3:25 p.m. We will pull the board on HA 2023-004505 5432 Market Street, Matthew Novatanak. City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. So that matter's resolved. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wade.
We have cases 3 and 4 that I believe will go before the board. We do have cases 46 and 47. 46 and 47. I do not see the appellant. If we can call that, we can release the inspectors.
Okay, let's do that.
Case number 46, hearing appeal ending 0294, 2101 Market Street. And case 47, hearing appeal ending 0295, 2101 Market Street, Etta Estrada, for both appeals. Apologies.
Okay, who's handling that matter?
This is Christopher Johnson for the City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson. Have you spoken to the appellant at all, or any contact?
No, and just by way of further explanation, I was struggling to make sense of what they were appealing, since the documents that were attached to the appeal petitions was a copy of permits issued for work at that property. So I don't know why they filed the appeal or what they were challenging.
Okay. Alrighty. Mr. Wade, would you confirm service, please?
At Estrada listed 2740 North Front Street. On both appeals, notices of this hearing for both appeals were sent to 2740 North Front Street on 10/16 and 10/29 of 24.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, what is your pleasure?
City affirmed failure to appeal.
Thank you. All right, we're going to read these separately so that we can keep the record clear. HA 2024-000294, 2101 Market Street, Etta Estrada, City Affirm, non-appearance.
City
And
affirmed.
I didn't get the time, Mr. Pincus. My
I'm
apologies.
sorry, it is 3:27 PM.
Reset. Okay, let's continue to vote.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you. Okay, regard HA 2024-000295, 2101 Market Street, Etta Estrada. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
3:28 PM.
3:28 p.m. My vote, city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think that resolves that matter. Any of the witnesses assigned to that matter are excused. Let's move on, I guess, to 3 and 4. Or is there something else, Mr. Wade, that we should do?
I have 3 and 4 as our last two matters.
Okay, already.
Recalling
let's
case 3, hearing appeal ending 4324, 4733 Salem Street, Gil Perez, and case 4, 4325, 4731 Salem Street, Gil Perez.
Good afternoon,
Okay.
Michelle Reinhart for the City of Philadelphia, REINHART.
Good afternoon, Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez,
Good afternoon, Gil Perez for
So would you-
4731 and 4733 Salem Street.
yes, sir. Would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Reinhardt, do you have witnesses for today?
I do. It is Manager Maureen Blaney.
All right, Miss Blaney, I don't see her.
She was just on. Let me see.
She's there,
She's
Mr.
on.
Chair.
She's on the screen.
Oh, Miss Blaney, my apologies. Okay, raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. You can place your hand down. Okay, Miss Reinhardt, please proceed.
Thank you. Manager Blaney, can you please introduce yourself for the record?
Before Ms. Reinhardt proceeds,
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
can
This
I
is
ask how to obtain the transcript?
No, sir. No, sir. This is how we proceed. I get to determine the procedure. When you have an opportunity to speak, we will call on you. Okay. In the meantime, the city presents its case, then you present your case. Okay.
But again, this is a procedural matter. I'd like to know how to obtain the transcript.
But the
repealed.
okay, you can just at the end of the hearing, we will give you all of that. That doesn't
I
happen at the beginning.
requested it at the last
we are
hearing
not
and did
going
not
to do that.
receive it.
We are not going to do that until after the hearing. So you have a choice. You can not have a hearing at all, or you can wait till we get there in this process.
The denial of a request for a hearing for the request for how to get the transcript does seem unreasonable, Mr. Woodson.
I have not denied you the opportunity to get the transcript. What I've told you
I
procedurally
was
for today.
denied at the last
today.
hearing, Mr. Woodson.
For
I
today,
do need
Mr.
to
Perez,
know how
Mr.
to get
Perez,
the transcript.
Mr. Perez, if you're going to be disruptive, we're going to mute you and make a decision that won't be helpful. So I'd be directed to follow the procedure for today's hearing, period. If you're disruptive, we will move on. So what we're going to do is here, Ms. Reinhardt, continue questioning your witness, and then we will hear from Mr. Perez.
Thank you. Manager Blaney, the question was, can you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sure, my name is Maureen Blaney. I'm the manager of the Business Compliance Unit.
Are you familiar with the properties 4733 and 4731 Salem Street in Philadelphia?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with them?
I was out there with the inspector, I believe it was in October, at the request of Mr. Perez.
And have you reviewed the department's file for both of these properties as well?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And that's included records that have been created and kept by the department in the ordinary course of its business and specifically related to the violations on appeal here?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen first with what has been previously identified as the city's exhibits for 4733 Salem Street. It's going to take me a second to pull them up. Please let me know when you are able to see the label Exhibit A.
See it.
Okay.
Just
I'd like
magnify it
to
a bit, please.
object to leading
Please.
questions.
Objection noted, overruled. Please continue.
I have attempted to zoom in and scroll down to the top of Exhibit A. Is everyone able to see this, or should I
Yes,
add more?
that's fine.
Okay. Manager Blaney, this is a notice of violation and order to correct dated September 20th, 2023. Are you familiar with this notice?
Yes.
Okay, and this was issued to Mr. Perez regarding 4733 Salem?
Correct.
Okay, can you walk us through what violations were found at the property?
Yes. The inspector wrote them up for the windows and doors violation.
Objection.
What is your objection?
The attorney for the city has not laid a basis for the testificant's qualification to make the representation. Was she there at the time the violation?
Okay, Mr. Perez, you've noted your objection. It's overruled. You have an opportunity to cross-examine Ms. Blaney at a later time. So I know your objection is overruled. Let's proceed.
You can answer the question.
The inspector wrote the violation for windows and doors, which basically means that they can't have boards over the windows and doors. Where there's windows, where windows should be, they should be. Where doors should be, they should be. He had boards on them. To be specific, 11 boarded windows. And he had high weeds in the front of the property and the rear of the property. He doesn't have an address ID on the property. At the time, he didn't have a vacant structure license, but that was since complied when he obtained a make safe permit for the property. And there's one other one. He doesn't, the aluminum components over top of the rear garage are rusted and need correction.
Okay. You gave us an update that one of the violations for the vacant property license specifically has since been complied. Has another violation also been complied?
Yes, the weeds were complied as well.
Okay. I'm going to circle back to what you referred to as the window and door violation. And I believe you then described the violations as having boards over the windows and doors. Was that your description of it?
Yes, when they have, when we write this violation, it means that you can't have the boards over the windows or doors. You have to put windows in, you have to put doors in. And at the time, it was, there were boards on the windows.
And was this for blight concerns as a public policy matter?
Yeah, when we go out to, we you go out to different, you know, we were starting to go out throughout the city and writing the different vacant properties for the windows and doors. And because it's, you know, they feel it brings up property values if there's boards. So any block that has more than 80%, I think it's occupied, are required to have windows and doors.
Thank you. I am moving to what has been marked City Exhibit B. Oh, there is a second notice of violation that is under Exhibit A. Is this just another notice sent to appellant as well?
To again object to leading questions on
So noted, overruled. Let's
presentation of the
proceed.
case.
Let's proceed.
Yes, I don't know if it was a different address than the
Chairman,
first one.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
may,
sir.
just before proceeding, just so
Yeah.
Mr. Perez understands, these are administrative hearings and the rules of evidence are not strictly adhered to. So we allow the presentation of questions that may be leading when hearing a particular case, because in its administrative hearing, I believe from your appeal, you state you're an attorney. However, you're not in a license, as I read it, you may be licensed in New York, but not in Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
I'm not a licensed attorney in Pennsylvania.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Please continue, Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you. Moving to City Exhibit B. This is a collection of photographs. I am zooming out slightly so that you can see it a little bit better.
I have to object to the introduction of evidence in photograph form. These photographs were not taken by the person testifying. She has no knowledge of the basis or the date or the accuracy or the issues that the photos reflect.
The board will take judicial notice of your comment. Your objections overruled. One thing that we did not do, and I apologize to both
Oh my God.
counsel. Okay, Mr. Wade, if you could check to see if there's a problem with board member Penn. Just one moment for everyone.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chairman.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I apologize. I thought my audio was off. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Perez, your relationship to this property, are you the sole owner?
Yes.
Okay, is it only your name individual, not corporate name, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Reinhardt, would you continue, please?
Thank you. Manager Blaney, I believe that you already testified that you reviewed the department's files for these cases that are on appeal today. City Exhibit B is a collection of photographs. Are you familiar with these photographs?
Yeah.
Okay. Were they taken at approximately the same time that the notice of violation was issued?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what property we are looking at in the first photograph of City Exhibit B?
I believe this is 4733 Salem Street.
And can you describe the concerns that were noted in the notice of violation that you see in this photograph, documented in this photograph?
This was the windows and doors violation. It was the weeds. It was the address ID. The general, there's a vacant properties violation, which is basically maintenance of the property. And I believe the rest was addressed by the building people.
Okay. I am moving to the second photograph of Exhibit B. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
This is the rear of the property. This is where, again, it was the windows and doors. You're boarded or busted out, and then the rusted component over top of the rear garage was also written by the inspector.
Moving to City Exhibit C. This is also a collection of photographs, and these were taken were these taken at the most recent inspection in October?
Now I believe they were taken on the November 25th reinspection.
Thank you for correcting me there. November 25th. Can you tell us what we see most recently?
Yes, he has made improvements. He's put some of the windows in. I believe the rear have windows in as well. The only remaining ones needing windows are the porch windows. He still needs an address ID.
Okay.
He did cut the weeds.
Moving to the second photograph in this same exhibit, is this the rear of the property?
Yes.
Okay. And it shows the new windows that you just testified to as well,
Correct.
as well as a few windows that remain boarded.
That I believe is not his property.
Oh, thank you.
I believe that's the 4735.
Thank you for clarifying. I do understand. I am putting my cursor up, I'm going to say approximately a third of the way through the page and just drawing a line straight down. Is that approximately correct as to where the other property line is?
Yes.
Okay. So the back of the property, you already testified the windows were replaced. It is the front of the property with remaining windows that are boarded?
Yes.
Okay. Moving to the third photograph, is this just property and identification?
Yes, that's just his way of showing that's the one he's in front of.
Okay. Now you testified about a work permit that was taken for this property. Can you tell us in general terms what that work entails?
The permit
Objection, it calls for an expertise that the witness may or may not have.
But
She
we're going to hear
certainly
from
hasn't presented that expertise.
Ms.
It hasn't been
Perez.
elicited at questioning.
Mrs. Perez, will be your noted your objection and overruled. Please proceed.
The permit that he applied for is a make safe permit to address the violations written by the building inspector. Nowhere did he indicate replacement of all the windows. It was basically to do with everything to deal with the make safe and the building issues. Therefore, as I explained to him when I was out there in October, we couldn't comply our violations to the permit.
And just to be clear, when you're referring to any kind of building violations, those are not the ones on the notice of violation that we're discussing here today?
No, he has another case open for building.
Okay. I am going to attempt to switch over to the city exhibits for 4731 Salem Street. If there's an issue with screen sharing, can you please let me know? Are you able to see just the label City Exhibit A?
Yes.
Okay. These are the exhibits for 4731 Salem Street. Again, the first page of City Exhibit A reads notice of violation and order to correct dated September 20th, 2023. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes.
Okay. This is the notice of violation for 4731 Salem sent also to Mr. Perez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us what the violations were for this property?
Very similar to the 4733, was the windows and doors violation, PM 15-304-19B. The exterior reads, the address ID This one, he indicated missing siding from roof area and rear walls. And basically the vacant license violation.
Okay. And overall maintaining the vacant property?
Right, yes, correct.
And let me see. Like the exhibits for 4733 Salem Street, the exhibits here for 4731 Salem also have a second notice of violation letter
It's
to.
a separate case. I'd like to also renew my objection to leading question.
Just one thing though, Ms. Reinhardt, we do have two separate appeal numbers. And so in effect, for purposes of the hearing the facts, we will consolidate. However, we will render decision each one separately. Essentially, that's the approach you're taking.
That's what I understood based on how I believed that it was approached by the board, but I am happy.
Okay, now that's fine. I just wanted, because Mr. Perez's objection raises to some degree that issue. So, Mr. Perez, we're hearing the facts as they are very similar for both addresses. For efficiency purposes, at one presentation, we will separately vote on the matter for the record, though. Okay, let's continue.
Thank you. I also would like to note, I have no problem considering objections for potentially under one appeal number as also applying to the other appeal number.
Understood. Accepted. That's fine.
Manager Blaney, I don't recall whether you answered the question. Were there two notices of violation sent out for this appeal or this notice as well?
Yes, it appears they went to two different addresses.
Moving to City Exhibit B for 4731 Salem Street. This is a collection of photographs. These photographs have identification on the side. Do you know when the first photograph was taken?
September 18th, 2023.
And can you tell us what violations you find? Oh, what property address is this, first of all?
4731 Salem.
And you know that based on your experience actually going out to the property and reviewing the case file?
Yeah.
Okay. What violations do you see from the notice of violation here in this photograph?
So it's the weeds, the windows and doors violation, the exterior protective treatment, meaning the siding at the top floor, and the overall, I don't know if I said ID, address ID, the overall maintenance, and the vacant, well, can't tell here, but no vacant license at the time.
Hey, you referred to
I
exterior.
have to object. The city has withdrawn the vacant license violation. Why would the witness testify to it?
Objection noted and overruled. Please proceed.
You referred to protective treatment, and I believe referred to the top of the building. Can you explain what it is that you are looking at there?
Objection. The witness has never been qualified as a licensed professional. She's giving opinion that would be given by an architect or a professional engineer or an inspector that worked in the field.
Okay. The witness has not been presented as an expert. The witness is the administrator and the custodian of the record, and in that instance, for this administrative hearing, is permitted to and to testify and is an acceptable witness. So that's overruled. Please continue.
There's missing siding at the top second floor roof area. That's the exterior protective treatment that he wrote up, as well as in the back of the property.
I'm having trouble hearing Ms. Blaney. I don't know
I'm
about
sorry.
the court reporter. He may also have a problem.
Just may need to get closer, Ms. Blaney.
sorry, he's missing the siding at the top second floor roof area. That was the exterior protective treatment that the inspector was citing.
Moving to the second photograph in City Exhibit B, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
The bump out there, he was writing up for missing the siding in that front area of it. That was the other part of the aluminum, I'm sorry, the exterior protective treatment that he wrote up. He wrote up for this, in this bump out here, and he wrote it up for the front second floor roof area.
Are the boarded windows?
Sorry.
Oh,
I forgot. I'm sorry. Yes, and the windows that are boarded.
Moving to the third photograph, can you tell us what we are looking at here?
There's weeds in the rear. I can't say for certain, but I don't know if there's missing panels in the garage area. It doesn't appear he wrote that.
Moving to City Exhibit C. I am again going to zoom out in a moment to be more visible. Is this again the identification for the property?
Yes.
Okay. Moving to the second photograph, can you tell us what we're looking at?
He's 4731 Salem. He's made progress. He removed the weeds. He installed.
Objection,
majority
no
of the
date,
windows.
no reference for when the photograph was taken. And again, the testifier did not take these photographs and is not qualified to testify about them.
Okay, Ms. Reinhardt, authenticate that photo, please.
Yes, Manager Blaney, when were these collection of photographs marked City Exhibit C taken?
Taken November 25th, 2024 at 10:39 a.m.
Were these taken by an inspector performing a reinspection?
Yes, Inspector Cravell.
Okay. And he's unavailable today?
He's out sick today, from what I understand.
Okay. So these photographs were taken during the reinspection in preparation for this hearing today?
Yes.
Were they saved to the department's database that includes the file for this property?
Yes, they're saved to the case, correct.
Is that where documents are ordinarily stored by the department?
Yes.
And did you review these photographs and the records for this property in preparing for the testimony today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and I believe you said that this photograph was taken in November of this year?
Correct.
Okay. What I'm actually going to move to the third photograph of this collection. What are we looking at in this final photograph?
This is the rear 4731. The windows are all installed pretty much, and the only thing missing is the siding on, the bump. I might be calling it the wrong thing. I'm calling it the bump out, but as it would be this second floor, first floor.
Are there any violations that have been complied for 4731 Salem Street?
Yes, the vacant license violation was complied to the permit, and the weeds are complied.
Okay. And you said to the permit, can you describe again in very general terms? First of all, did you review a permit for this property as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you tell us in general terms what the permit was for?
The permit again is for, they also have a building case, it's for a make safe permit. No indication of windows. installing
One,
windows.
there is no building case.
So Mr. Perez,
But two,
Mr. Perez,
what is her knowledge
Mr.
of that? This
Mr.
is
Perez,
not her
Mr.
unit, and
Perez,
she is not the
please mute
custodian of
Mr.
those
Perez.
records, so
Please
I
mute Mr.
object.
Perez. Please mute Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez, you continue to disrespect this proceedings. Now, I warned you before. Understood? Now, we can't both speak at the same time. And when I speak into the record, I expect you to stop and listen. Understood? Your objection to the degree that it was appropriate is overruled. Ms. Reinhardt, please continue.
Thank you. Manager Blaney, can you clarify what type of permit it was that you reviewed?
They make safe permit. And there is an open case written by our contractual, I believe it's our contractual services unit.
Is there a plan under the permit that you reviewed that includes installing windows on this property?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions for Manager Blaney.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Perez, do you have any cross-examination of Ms. Blaney?
I do. Miss Blaney?
Yes.
Were you employed in the position that you're in currently at the time these violations were issued?
No.
What was
He's a
your position
supervisor.
at the time?
Supervisor of the vacant property unit.
So you were not in the position that you're in?
I'm in a different position now, correct?
Okay. In the position that you occupied at the time that these violations were issued, did you supervise the officer who issued the violations?
Yes, I did.
Did you review the violations at that time?
I didn't review them until we were requested to come out to meet with you at your property.
So you did not review the violations at the time they were issued?
No.
Yeah. You say that you reviewed these violations. However, did you review the violations in conjunction with the person who took the photographs? Did you discuss the violations with the issuing officer who took the photographs, most particularly in November of this year?
No, I did not.
When you say that the front windows were covered by boards, is it possible that the windows behind those boards were replaced and were new, just like all of the other windows in the house?
Objection, call for speculation.
So noted.
I dare you all
Mr.
to
Perez,
uphold this objection
Mr.
in
Perez,
this record. I would
Mr.
be amused.
Mr. Perez, Mr. Perez, your attitude will not be tolerated. Understood? We want to give you a fair hearing. We're asking everyone to cooperate and proceed. Now, the objection that was made, the objection is sustained. Let's move on.
I need a moment to collect my thoughts. I'm offended by what was said by the
Well, we're going to
issuing
proceed then,
officer.
sir. We're going to limit your time now, so you can collect your thought all you like, and we're going to conclude this hearing. So I'd ask you to proceed
Next
now.
question to Miss Blaney.
Yes.
So, you did not review with the issuing officer the photographs at the time, and yet you testified about them. On what basis do you testify about these photographs? What was your knowledge of them?
Why do I have to knowledge of them? I can see the photograph.
Miss Blaney,
Yeah.
what I'd like you to do is to respond directly to the question that's asked. There's no editorial required.
Okay.
Okay? Just respond to the question.
Could
Please.
he say the question again?
Please repeat the question, Mr. Perez.
Could the court reporter repeat the question?
I'm asking you to repeat the question, sir. If you want to, you don't have to. You can ask for something different.
Can you tell us about your knowledge, your direct knowledge of these photographs, having not discussed them with the person who took them?
No.
You previously testified that you didn't have any discussion with the inspector, and the inspector is not present today. Do you think he would have additional information that would be helpful to this court?
Objection. That is somewhat a call for legal conclusion.
Overruled. Ms. Blaney, answer the question.
Cannot say if he would have more information to give you regarding these photos.
Is it your knowledge that the inspector was also unavailable for the last hearing of this tribunal?
I don't know.
I can stipulate that that is correct.
Okay, so the inspector has now not appeared for 2 hearings. Can we go to the photographs and discuss them briefly? Starting with the first set, Ms. Reinhardt, you were able to produce them for your testimony, if you could produce them here.
Yes, I am working on pulling them up now. Which would you like to start with?
Just go through them serially, one at a time, please.
Sure.
Your facility will will speed this up for the board, and I imagine will obviate my having to produce any of these things. Okay, so in these photographs, Mrs. Blaney, does it appear that the house has burned?
Yes, it does.
Okay. In the course of your inspector's investigation and your supervision of this, did you consult the fire department's report of the fire?
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
I don't know if I'm being mocked.
Mr. Perez,
You're
your question was not heard. I didn't hear the question. If you want to be, argumentative, that's fine.
I'm not being argumentative. I honestly don't know if I'm being mocked.
Mr. Perez, I'm sitting here patiently listening. Ms. Blaney said, and the supervisor Blaney said she didn't hear your question. So don't worry about what you're being treated. You're being asked to respond and repeat the question. Can you repeat the question?
Most certainly.
Thank you.
Did you consult the fire department's report during the course of your issuance and administration of these violations?
No.
Okay. You testified extensively about permits that were obtained and outstanding hearings that were being conducted. What is your knowledge of these permits? Do you supervise the unit that issues and controls and administers these permits?
No.
Do you have any record-keeping responsibilities with respect to those permits?
No.
Do you have a degree in architecture, a degree in engineering? Do you have a license in the state of Philadelphia, of the state of Pennsylvania and the city of Philadelphia with respect to contracting or anything of the sort?
No.
Okay. So you gave testimony regarding these permits. You also testified that at the time these violations were issued, the permits were not in force. Do you know whether or not these permits were applied for at the time the violations were issued?
The initial, hold on, I'll tell you in 1 minute.
I'm sorry, Ms. Supervisor.
I'm sorry, I'm looking if they were applied for. So it looks like they were applied for on the 19th of September.
And when were these violations issued?
The violations were issued on the 18th of September.
How were they transmitted to the respondent?
By mail, certified mail. I
Do you think
believe
it's
certified
possible
mail.
that the mail went from your office to the respondent prior to the application for these permits?
Well, I'm sure you didn't get it prior to you applying, if that's what you're saying. Correct, you applied the day after we wrote it. I'm sure you didn't get the mail at that time.
Yeah. I did apply for these permits, but I will testify in a separate thing. This is cross from Ms. Blaney. Do you feel that the application, or do you think that the application of a permit to make safe after a fire has any bearing on the issuance of a violation of the sort that you've issued here?
Do I think it has any bearing? I guess I'm not understanding exactly what you're asking me.
The homeowner has a home in the city of Philadelphia and it burns through no cause of the homeowner themselves. And your unit then goes out and issues violations, having not consulted the fire department report, and violates the homeowner for not having siding, for example, when in fact, the house certainly had siding before the fire.
Mr. Perez, please ask a question because you can testify in a moment, but ask the question so that she can respond to a specific question.
Do you feel that the existence of a fire prior to the issuance of your violations should have any bearing on the issuance of those violations?
I think if the fire just happened, we wouldn't have written it initially. But I believe this fire happened a good deal amount of time before we wrote the violation. And if a property is vacant more than 3 months, we write the property up.
But you just said you never consulted the fire department report.
I cannot speak for the inspector went out there and he saw the property like this. So do you want to tell us when the fire happened?
Okay, Miss Blaney, no, you don't get, this is not a back and forth. Let's just answer the question and respond and move on.
And also, she's not responsive to the question.
Okay,
Does she think
if you want to rephrase,
that,
no, you don't need to repeat that. If you want to rephrase your question in a different way, Miss Blaney, I need you to respond to the question from the appellant. Do you have any additional questions, Mr. Perez?
Well, I didn't get a response to the last question. I can rephrase it.
Please.
A fire occurs in a resident's home. And subsequent to the fire,
Mr. Perez, you're asking a hypothetical question, and at this point, I don't believe it's appropriate. If you want to ask a question about the testimony that Inspector Supervisor Blaney gave, that's fine. But you're asking her to give you an opinion which isn't appropriate.
So we ask you to either rephrase or move on.
In this particular instance, there was a fire that affected, as I'm sure you know, 5 homes. The remaining 3 homes don't appear in your picture, but did your unit issue violations to those 3 homes as well?
Objection. We are not here for additional properties. We're here for the 2 that are appealed and at issue.
Okay,
I have 2 questions that will lead to a relevant issue.
Well, let's get to the issue. Let's get to the relevant issue now. Well, otherwise, I'm going to curtail the cross.
In this particular house was burned as a result of a fire. During the fire department broke each and every one of the windows. Do you feel that the issuance of a violation for broken windows, where the fire department broke the windows during the course of a fire,
Okay, Mr. Perez, no. She's not going to do that, and that's the end of the cross-examination.
Oh, I
You,
get, so I have questions on the next
that's it. That's
picture.
it. No, that's it. Ms.
But it's
Reinhardt, do you have
unfair,
any?
Your
That's
Honor.
it. That's
The
it.
fact that
That's
the
it. That's it.
photographs show that the
That's
windows
it.
are replaced and the
Ms.
doors are
Perez,
replaced.
you have an opportunity when you put on your case to bring out certain information. You can do that then. Ms. Reinhardt, do you have any additional witnesses?
No additional witnesses.
Okay, Ms. Blaney, you excuse. Mr. Perez, you now can present your case in chief.
Very well. So, Ms. Reinhardt, can you photograph down to the other photographs relating to this property?
Sure. Let me know when I should pause.
I will. Continue. Continue. Stop. Go back up a little bit. Okay. So I have to represent to the board without the assistance of an inspector who actually went to the facility and saw that behind the boards that are shown, and this is 4733, are in fact new windows. And it's logical to assume that if an owner replaced all of the windows in a house, he would have replaced the remaining 2 windows. This board should also note that despite the fact that the city is seeking to enforce a violation for failure to repair the door, there is in fact a new door. In addition, bricks have been repaired. There is siding currently there, however, sheathing. But this work could not be completed because the city remains to inspect this work. And in fact, there's fire paneling and fire code markings on those plywood boards, and the city inspector needs to see those. Can you proceed down, Ms. Reinhardt? Little lower. That's it. So you can, no, can you stop? So the windows in the back have been replaced, brickwork has been repaired, and the door has been replaced. That door again is included in the violation. I really feel that it is improper for the city to appear without a witness that inspected, with a manager who was not in the position that she's in at the time as the keeper of records, to testify kind of misleadingly to this tribunal that the door has not been repaired when in fact there is their photograph that shows it has.
What address is that, Mr. Perez?
That's 4733.
Okay.
But both doors have been replaced, we'll show you. But again, I really feel that the testimony given is very misleading to the tribunal and really should be discounted. In any event, Ms. Reinhardt, can we proceed down to any further photographs you have of this house?
I believe it is just the property identification here. Would you
That's
like?
it. Very well. Thank you. Can we move on to Exhibit B?
I'm sorry, Exhibit D?
The B, as in the next exhibit. You had one that we're seeing now, and there's another, 4731.
Oh.
There we go. So that, again, you can see the front door has been replaced, the windows have been replaced, the front porch has been replaced. And if you can scroll up, Ms. Reinhardt.
This is the first photograph in
Okay.
Exhibit C for 4731 Salem Street.
Okay. Can you scroll down then? Okay, can you stop? So the windows have been replaced. The siding is going to be repaired. The reason that particular portion of siding isn't done is because the roof had to be flashed. Behind those boards are new windows. It's logical to assume that a property owner would replace all the windows. Covering of those particular windows is logical because it does seem that people in that location are breaking into houses and the house is not quite yet occupied. In any event, the yard has been cleaned, the fence is present, and we proceed down, Miss. Oh, and the door. The door has definitely been replaced. Can we proceed down? Okay. So this is the back of the house. All of the windows have been replaced, and the door also has been replaced. Again, Each of these windows was destroyed by the fire department in the course of their protecting the neighborhood from an ongoing fire. I bore the expense of repairing them, but I really felt that the issuance of a violation for broken windows was gratuitous and unnecessary, and I complained vehemently, and I continue to complain. I also maintained at the time, and I continue to maintain, that the issuance of the violation to me, the Hispanic owner of 2 properties on the block, while failing to issue or answering the question as to whether violations were issued to the other 3 properties who were owned by people of color, um, whatever the appropriate terminology is, really represented a fair housing violation and a 1983 accommodation violation. But in any event, this is the back of the house. Clearly the windows have been replaced. And what Ms. Reinhardt referred to as the failure to repair the siding, actually all of the siding will be replaced in a wrap up, but that will be after the city does do their inspection. It's just an order of repair. You do all of the siding at once. You wouldn't do it piecemeal. With respect to the complaint that the garage door or whatever lacked paneling, one of the children in the neighborhood broke all the windows to the garage door, not the fire department, oddly enough. And the garage doors will be replaced. And I felt that to make repairs on the garage door when it was going to be replaced really was counterproductive and really counterindicated. So are there any more pictures of that, Ms. Reinhardt?
This was the last photo of City Exhibit C.
Okay. I really would have difficulty uploading the exhibits that I submitted. I don't know if you can upload them, Ms. Reinhardt.
So I can pull them up if you can let me know which ones you would like.
We would just start at the top and go through.
Mr. Perez,
Yeah.
could you tell us when the fire occurred?
I really can't. I never actually got access to the fire department report. It was a period of time before September of 2023. The exact date I can't say at the time. But my objection is that the city issued these violations without consulting the fire department report. And I feel that that is a manifest error.
No, that's fine. I just asked you the date of the fire and you tried to answer that question. So thank you.
But I wanted to expound on
No,
the
you don't
issue.
have to. I asked you the question, you answered my question. If you want to testify, you can
I would like to
testify, but
elucidate.
You
this
answered my
panel.
question. You
I
answered
did.
my question.
Thank you. But I'd like to elucidate. I really maintain that it's a manifest error on the part of the city's, and it's the broken windows Rudy Giuliani policy that they're trying to sort of embody, God bless them, that it's really an error on the part of the city to issue such violations to a property owner who was the victim of a fire without consultation of the fire department's report. If in fact those windows were broken before the fire, or somehow the maintenance of the house contributed to the neglect in the community led to the fire, or maybe something in the house contributed to the fire, I could understand the issuance of the violation. But I have to say that I believe it's a particularly gratuitous issuance of really what represents $250,000 in violation if you calculate what this would have cost had I been found guilty, not appealed, and the like.
Mr. Perez, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Were those properties occupied before the fire?
They were.
By tenants or yourself?
Me.
You were the occupant in both locations?
I was. I held both utility bills and I was there on a regular basis. I happen to be an attorney, a professional engineer, and I have international practice, so I do travel a bit. But I personally occupied and maintained all utilities and maintained those houses.
That isn't what I asked. Where did you physically?
The front and back of those houses, cooped up.
You aren't listening to my question. Sir, you aren't listening to my question. I'm asking you which address was your official residence. Your voting residence. You voted from both addresses?
Oh, no. You you added a wrinkle. Where do I
Okay.
vote?
Yes. What's your voting address?
I vote in New York City.
Okay, so you were not an official resident of those properties then. Okay, that answers my question.
I
That's
beg
it.
to
I'm fine.
differ.
I'm fine. Now, do
I
you have
beg
any
to
other
differ.
testimony? Do
And
you
the
have any,
reason I differ
sir, do
is,
you have any other testimony you'd like to
I
give?
do.
Okay,
I
not
do, but
argument, not a legal argument, but testimony. And like you to, present new information that we haven't heard.
Well, the issue of my voting in New York City is because I simply have never changed my voting registration. I actually have 9 homes, 4 of which I do reside in on a regular basis.
Okay.
And I really feel that the question, is this my residence? And the disposition of it by simply reflecting where I vote as a Hispanic in Philadelphia is particularly offensive.
Sir,
And
I'm
move
asking you to
on.
move on. I'm asking you to
I'd
move on.
like to move on
Please,
to the
please move on.
to the evidence that I presented for the record.
Do you have any additional evidence that you'd like to present?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Ms. Reinhardt, can you bring up the items that I submitted?
I can attempt to show them in this form. This is the complete list of the attachments from your email circulated last week. So it is in the same order that I pulled it from the email. So please let me know which one I should pull up first.
The first document, the first PDF.
We have
and it's 4:23. We've been going for several hours. Can I have a 5-minute break to use the bathroom?
Okay, as a courtesy, we will go off the record until 4:30.
Can we go into an executive
session? Yes, the board will be in executive session off the record until 4:30. We're prepared to go back on the record. I believe, Mr. Perez, you were still remaining as a witness. We may have other questions from other board members. Does anyone have any additional questions of Mr. Perez? Everyone's muted except myself. Mr. Pincus, you're muted.
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'm just trying to get straight the dates of some of these things that we've been hearing testimony on. And I just wanted to confirm that, Mr. Perez, you said the fire occurred sometime before September of 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you be surprised to know that that fire was reported in the local news in Philadelphia and that it involved more than just your property? You've indicated there were other properties involved. Are you aware that it was reported in the local news in Philadelphia?
I have to object.
Mr. Perez, if you don't want to, wait a moment. If you don't want to answer my questions, you don't have to. But I'm asking you questions that basically have yes or no answers.
I would not be aware if it was reported in the local news.
I see. Okay. So I'm telling you that I believe that I understand there was a news report that there was a fire on the 4700 block of Salem Street on December 12th of 2022. Would you say, do you know that? Do you agree or disagree with my understanding of that fact?
I say it's not a fact because there were many fires on the 4700 block of Salem Street. And in fact, which fire affected my home is not clearly stated by your news article.
I see. So the
in addition, the
Mr. Perez,
testimony
Perez,
by
Mr.
a
Perez,
hearing officer
Mr.
really
Perez,
is somewhat improper.
Mr. Perez, respond to the question or yes or no, and then we'll move on.
Okay. Now, the other question is, are you aware that the city came out on December the 14th and wrote a violation notice on your property as being unsafe on December 14 of 2022?
I can't speak to it, no.
Okay. At any time after December 12th of 2022, since you've testified that you occupy all these properties that you own, in the year of 2023, Did you occupy or live in any of these properties that you own, the two properties on Salem Street, 4731 or 4733 Salem Street?
During 2023, the properties were the subject of an unsafe building violation, and as such, I was unable to occupy.
I see. So they
And
were,
in fact,
they were unsafe. They were unsafe in 2023.
The city withdrew the occupancy component of these violations. The discussion and discourse of them is curious, but I'm wondering what the hearing officer is getting.
So you're acknowledging that the properties were unsafe to be occupied in 2023. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Not only am I acknowledging it, but I'm acknowledging that I addressed it by retaining an engineer who prepared or began to prepare an unsafe building permit to ameliorate this as early as January of 2023. And there are records in the file that I submitted to this hearing body, as well as Ms. Reinhardt, that reflect those dates.
Did you have a hearing before the Board of Building Standards on September 21st, 2023? Regarding
It's entirely possible that there was a hearing before that board. I am still trying to obtain the record from that hearing, and it is my understanding that they voted to dismiss the violations. There has
but
been
you
no
don't have a
further
record
hearing.
of that. Okay, so there was a hearing on September 21st of 2023, and when did you apply for the Make Safe permit with the city? Was that September 21 or September 19th of 2023?
The application for the Make Safe permit was a process.
I didn't ask you the process.
January of 2023.
I asked you when you apply. I asked you
I'm
when
trying to answer the question.
When did you apply for? When did you apply for it?
I believe I applied in August of 2023.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else from anyone? If there are no further questions from anyone, we will hear final argument by Mr. Perez and then Ms. Reinhardt, and we will proceed to vote.
I was deprived of my opportunity to introduce and review the evidence that I submitted to the board.
What additional evidence do you have, sir, that you'd like to present?
Well, the photographs that I've submitted and the permits, the engineering documents, the drawings. That is a permit that was applied for in 2/24/2023. It was a process. Again, the application of a permit to make safe really is rather complex. I was surprised at how difficult it was. But it certainly began shortly after the fire. And my understanding of what a make safe permit was in the city of Philadelphia. I obtained a professional, Mr. Blues, who immediately embarked on determining what needed to be done to make safe, preparing drawings, filing them with the city, going back and forth with the city. But again, these records show that I dutifully addressed the issue of the fire and the lack of safety, or the allegation of the lack of safety in these buildings, at great expense during the course of this and long before the issuance of these broken windows Giuliani type summonses issued by the city of Philadelphia in a separate L&I unit, which the testimony.
Sir, let's move on through the other what things you'd like to show
another
us.
point that I want to make your and that is
we can't hear you. There's something
Can't hear
happening
me?
with your microphone. We can't hear you.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. The city of Philadelphia acknowledged that they never considered the L&I violations or the resolution of the L&I violations when they issued these instant violations regarding windows and doors that were broken by the fire department. Ms. Reiner, can we move over to the next document? Again, Alpha Engineering was engaged to resolve this. One of the issues was that we couldn't get a general contractor to come and do the work in the area. I literally had to get a general contractor's license to do this work. because no general contractor would issue a bid on these jobs. Then we move to the next document, Ms. Reinhardt. These are pictures of the interior of the house. The house has to be completely renovated as a result of the fire, and it will be over the course of time. Can we move to the next document, Ms. Reinhardt? These are replaced windows. Ms. Reiner, can we go to the documents? They're the last several items that are there. So that, because the pictures are self-explanatory, the hearing officers can, or board members can review the photographs at their leisure. But the documents speak volumes. One of which is that the testimony of the witness.
When you say documents, what would you like me to select?
You're speaking, Mr. Perez. We can't hear you.
I know. I'm trying to explain to Ms. Reinhardt which documents to produce for you, because I'm not able to produce documents under this particular system. And Ms. Reinhardt has been most cooperative, and I do appreciate it. She really has been quite the attorney for the city. She gets an award. So I'm looking now, and I can see. All right, so the way I sent the documents, the first 9 documents were photographs, and then we have 1, 2, 3. So plan for 47 Salem Street would be the one that I'm looking for now.
Do you not see anything that is labeled plan for 37?
Plan for 4731 Salem Street.
As plan 4731 Salem, or
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. So these plans essentially address what will be done by the permit. And in fact, plans are the relevant documents with respect to permits. And the plans were extensively reviewed by the city and numerous corrections were made. But the manager for the city that testified said there were no plans. And in fact, they did not review the filing with the city.
I object to the characterization of testimony.
Well, I will be ordering the transcript and you can all review it at your leisure.
Okay. Well, wait. The objection, I'm not sure. What is the objection, Ms. Reinhardt?
I object to the characterization of what Ms. Blaney's testimony was. It speaks for itself, but that was it was just now represented that she did not review this, that she
Okay.
It's made that were against the testimony that she specifically gave earlier.
Okay.
I wasn't
the objection
afforded
is
the
overruled.
proper
But let me, sir, let me overrule on the objection. The objection is overruled. Please proceed. Please move on.
Speaking to the objection, which is now
sir, I've already ruled on the objection. Please move on.
But I was not afforded an opportunity.
But no, in this instance, we're asking you to proceed. Move on, sir, please.
Yes. So these plans clearly detail that every single aspect in the violations was addressed in the permit application. And in fact, I really could not proceed to make any of these repairs.
Would you point out how all the violations are addressed in these plans? I don't see that. Will you show that to us, please?
Well,
the violations for highways, for windows and doors, etc.
In what you see now, you see the dark line where it shows the bump out in the front?
Yes.
Well, that is where the windows are. So the replacement of that represents the replacement of the windows. And in addition, if you can scroll down, Ms. Reiner. The notes.
Okay, can you make that larger because we can't read it?
I can attempt to open it. Are you able to still view this?
It's not readable.
Okay. Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Could you go back up to the top and just see the ledger in terms of the date that these were prepared? Thank you.
2/21/23. The notes in the permits, which you have in your file, also reflect that the windows are being replaced and the doors are being replaced. But in any event, can we move on to the next plan, which is RP 2023-010114. And this is the plan for 4733 Salem Street.
You said RP 2023,
010114.
okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 documents that start with that. Is there a
Architectural plans, A series, 1 PDF.
Okay.
In this plan on the 3rd page, it clearly shows, can you scroll down to the 3rd page, Ms. Reinhardt? It clearly shows that the windows are included in the work. In addition, it shows the door. And again, one of my basic tenets is that where I've applied for a permit to do this work, the issuance of violation for failing to do the work really is obviated. And again, the testimony of the witness was that they did not consider these applications in the issuance of the violation. I also
Is there an associated building permit for these plans?
Yes.
And when was that issued?
It was issued later, oddly enough. That it was this particular building was more complicated for the city to address because it had more complex issues. So this particular permit was approved on 11/20/23, despite its having been submitted in August.
Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm asking you, say you have a building permit that was issued
11/20/23.
Do you have a
Meaning it was
you have a
submitted.
copy of the No, I'm asking, do you have a copy of the building permit in your stack?
Yes, it's in the stack, and I can tell you which document it is. It is, it says RP 2023-010114, Special Inspection Duties and Responsibilities Agreement PDF. And it says on it, in the lower left-hand corner of page 1, plans approved, and it gives a date, 11/20/23.
Okay, just if you could
I think I pulled up the wrong one. This is the notice of residential building permit, but it describes the scope of work. Is that what you're trying to show as well?
No, what they're looking for, I believe, is the date that these permits were approved, and it only appears.
No. What I'm looking for is a building permit that's associated with the architectural drawings that you submitted, which calls for exterior work, new windows, new doors, etc. That's what I'm asking about. I haven't seen that yet. That's what I'm asking about.
Well, this is the city of Philadelphia. I think that the permit is the document that is included in responsibilities and inspections, although these are all the documents that I received
The second question, while you're looking for that, the architectural plans, do they also incorporate all your interior repairs, improvements, and new plumbing, electrical, heating, etc.?
No, it turns out that L&I, the people that issue these particular types of permits, they won't let you proceed to do the interior improvements until you've made the building safe. And
Correct.
that's not illogical. So
But so this
essentially,
is only
all
for
you
make
can do,
safe. This is only
it's
make safe.
make safe, but it
Okay.
did include windows and doors. And,
Okay.
you know, I maintain that, and I think the board understands my point, that to issue the violation that was issued while the applicant, the subject of a fire, is applying for the make safe permit and obtains the make safe permit is gratuitous and really inappropriate.
Okay.
But,
That's your argument. Now, one other thing, did you have a local Philadelphia agent to represent your interests for your Philadelphia properties?
the question presupposes the issue that I personally did not reside in the properties, which was based on
I'm
the
asking you a question. Do you
of,
have an answer
and
for
I'm
that question?
answering your question. There's a presupposition in the question. I was not the occupier of these properties.
So the answer
I had a
is
tenant with a tenant license who I evicted for reasons really the block became somewhat unsafe and he had small children and I just could not bear the possibility of children being.
so. What's the answer to my question?
No, there was no agent.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed.
I am the agent. I
Let's
am
move
the
on.
owner, and
Let's
I
move on.
was the occupant of the property. And
Let's
again,
move on.
I
You've
vote
answered
in
my
New York
question.
City because
You've answered my question.
okay. So essentially, in these stacks of documents is the permit, whatever document the city accepts, because this is what the inspectors looked at when they came to inspect the property. And in closing, I maintain that the city's issuance of the violation represents a manifest error for its failure to consider the fire department's report, the relevant permit applications, which basically aver that as a responsible property owner, I was addressing the issues of the fire in a timely and orderly manner. The fact that I boarded up the building on the day of the fire, and that I responsibly maintain this property during the course of this particular issue. The presence of weeds honestly had to do with COVID and my inability to be at the property because I actually was physically sick and under the care of a doctor at that time. In addition, I myself am a licensed professional engineer in the state of New York. I am a licensed contractor in the state of Philadelphia, and I am able to testify to a degree that these permits adequately addressed all of the issues raised in the violation, and the application for these permits should have resulted in moot or withdrawal of the violation. The fact that the unit proceeded against me, I maintain, represents a fair housing violation against an entitled Hispanic pursuant to 1983 of the Federal Code. I also maintain that the chair's assertion that I don't reside in the house or did not reside in the house up until the date of the fire simply because I vote in a location not consistent with the address really was an inappropriate statement that should be stricken from the record. I also maintain that all of the testimony given by an unlicensed professional, a person who was not in the position of custodian of the records at the time that the violation was issued, and a person who did not have personal knowledge of the photographs presented should be stricken, and that all of the evidence, including photographic evidence and the issuance of the violation, without the presence and testimony of the violation issuing officer, should also be stricken from the record. And as such, there is no case issued by the city, and the city's case should be dismissed in the event that this body, the board, continues to hear the issues the defenses that I have presented are sufficient to support the upholding of my appeal, and the city is free to issue further violations, hopefully when this particular issuing officer returns to work. I'm hoping he's in good health and that he's happy wherever he is, and that he can testify to the violation that he issued at that time. But his failure to testify to the violations that he's issued and the testimony of a witness really twice or three times removed from the violations, but lacks the ability to testify with respect to the permits, the issuance of violations for make safe, the addressing of the issuance of the violations for make safe, the raising of a hearing in which the violation for make safe was understood, and where those particular violations were dismissed, really represents a gross miscarriage of justice and unfairly places the burden of proof on a defendant who has acted admirably within the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you.
Close.
Ms. Reinhardt, do you have any final close?
So I did not have the opportunity previously, but I would like to recall Manager Maureen Blaney for a very brief
Thank you.
few
Okay.
questions to clarify some questions that the board had as well.
I have to note that it's 5:02 p.m.
Mr. Perez, you've been
This
given
board
ample opportunity to
hurried
present.
me.
Ms. Perez, you were given opportunity to present your data. I will hear from Ms. Reinhardt's redirect. Okay, Ms. Reinhardt.
Manager Blaney, are you here? Okay, sorry, you were just not on my screen for a moment. Have you heard the testimony that has been given and reviewed the documents that have been shown since you last testified?
Yeah.
And have you reviewed the department's files in order to answer the question of when the fire burned these two buildings in question?
Yeah.
Have you made a determination based on the department's records about when that fire occurred?
Yes, the fire occurred December 12th, 2022. The contractual services unit was called out on emergency duty, and they have a case
I
on
have to
all 5
object. Mrs.
properties.
Blaney is
What
not.
what is your objection?
Mrs. Blaney is not in the contractual services unit, nor is she in the unit that issued the other violations. So her
She is the
testimony,
custodian of the record, so noted.
she is not a
Overruled.
custodian of these records.
Sir, your objection is overruled. We want to hear her answer.
Okay.
Please proceed. Please answer.
All right, so they received an emergency duty call. They went out on December 12th and they wrote up 4739, 4737, 4735, 4733, and 4731 for violations.
So fair to say that the fire occurred more than 3 months prior to when the notices of violation for these particular cases on appeal were issued in September of 2023?
Correct.
Objection.
What is your objection?
1, leading question, and 2, fair to say, is really not a specific enough answer with
Okay,
respect to
overruled.
this
Let's
particular
proceed.
tribunal.
Overruled.
Inspector, does the code differentiate? Does it matter to the code?
Objection. She's not an inspector.
Let,
she's
let
the
her
manager.
complete the ask her question. She hasn't asked the question yet.
But she
So-
referred to the witness
so-
as an
so let-
inspector. The witness is not an inspector. The issue
Mr.
here is that the
Perez.
inspector failed to appear at your hearing.
Mr. Perez, Ms. Reinhardt, please be more specific and direct in your questioning. Okay.
Yeah. Manager Blaney, does it matter how violations are created for the purpose of establishing whether violations exist under the Philadelphia Code?
Objection. She's
No.
asking the witness
Overruled.
to reach
Please.
the conclusion that you are entrusted to reach.
It's overruled. We will hear the answer.
Next.
Please.
Can you repeat the answer?
No.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you.
I have
Okay.
several questions on Croft.
There will be limited opportunity to ask questions, sir. Please.
Manager Blaney, again, were you
And
the
before you continue, please, no questions that have been asked before. Ask new things that are related to her specific testimony.
your review of the evidence today? Did you make any review of this evidence prior to today?
No.
Did the inspector review any of this evidence prior to today?
That's not a relevant question. You're asking questions based on the testimony that that Manager Blaney gave to the 2 or 3 questions that Inspector Reinhardt just asked. If you have questions, cross-examination with respect to the specific answers that Manager Blaney just gave, you can ask those questions. If you go beyond that, that's inappropriate, and we have no reason to hear that. Do you understand, Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Manager Blaney regarding the 2 or 3 questions she just answered?
Yes. Ms. Blaney, with respect to your answer regarding the relevance of the cause of the damage, has your unit ever considered the issue of a fire and the fire-related damage and the issuance of violations towards fire-related?
No, if we go out and we see that there's damage or whatever, I'm sure, I can't even speak. I would assume the inspector would check to see if there was a recent fire. If there was not, then, and we don't know when the fire occurred, then we're writing it up. Because if it's more than 3 months, if they can call us and tell us, prove that it's not more than 3 months, then we would give leeway.
But again, you've testified that you did not consider any permits or the fire report. Is that true?
I'm not out there when the inspector writes the case.
Do you know if the inspector normally considers?
That wasn't among the
Can't answer.
questions that, excuse me again for interrupting, that wasn't among the questions that was asked or answered in the last series of questions, Mr.
But it
Perez.
was presupposed, Mr. Pink.
I'm sorry, would you repeat yourself?
It was presupposed.
Well, we're not talking about presupposed, we're talking about the questions that were asked.
Well, the question was asked.
Do you have any more questions? Otherwise, it's late in the day, as you've pointed out, and we would like to conclude the case.
As a matter of fact, I do, Mr. Pincus.
Let's be very specific, and we're going to be limiting the additional testimony.
I'm not testifying. I'm asking Mrs. Blaney questions regarding her answers to the questions that she was asked.
Please proceed.
Okay. You mentioned other violations and other dates of incidents that occurred in the administration of the city of Philadelphia. Are you the manager of those units?
What incidents are you talking about?
You spoke about the Make Safe applications and the violations and dates relating to the Make Safe applications, the Make Safe violations, and the Make Safe permits. You spoke about that in your answers to Mrs. Reinhardt's questions. The question I had was, you are the manager of a unit that issues broken windows permits. Do you have any capacity in the unit that issues L&I violations or L&I permits?
No. I think I answered this earlier.
You did not. I didn't ask it.
I don't think you did.
Okay,
So for
the answer is no.
clarity purposes,
The answer is no. Let's move on to further questions.
so you testified about something that you really have no authority over, and
Listen, okay, the objection is what, Ms. Reinhardt?
First of all, argumentative. Second of all, it appears to be misconstruing the testimony that she's already provided. She is a record witness. She testified that she reviewed the file that the department has in its entirety, that she reviewed the permits that you applied for, and that you requested her to review and ask several questions about those permits, and now are questioning her capacity to read those same permits.
Understood.
And
So
rightly so.
the
issue
objection,
is
wait a
that
minute, she
Mr.
has an objection, and I'm going to rule on the objection. This objection is sustained, so I'm asking you to move on.
Okay.
Do you have any further questions?
Did you ever work for the L&I unit?
What L&I unit?
We're all
What does
L&I.
that mean?
Did you ever work for the branch of L&I that issued violations for make-safe permits and considered make-safe permits?
No.
Again, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
There were two questions that I believe Ms. Blaney, Manager Blaney was asked. She was asked about and provided information regarding the report of a fire that's in her records on December 12th. We're going back to the questions and testimony that was raised earlier, and that's already concluded. I think we ought to be able to move on.
But she conflicted testimony when she said she did not consult those records.
I think you're interrupting me, Mr. Perez, and I believe that he's exhausted, that Mr. Perez has exhausted his questioning of Manager Blaney with respect to her most recent testimony. We ought to be able to close. We were in the process of hearing closing argument. He gave his closing argument. I believe Ms. Reinhardt should give closing argument. We should vote the case. Perhaps we should have a moment of an executive session, but we ought to hear from Ms. Reinhardt and her closing argument. That would be my suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
The introduction of testimony after my closing argument
Mr.
without
Perez,
affording me cross-examination
Mr. Perez, this is what we're going to do. If you can have one additional cross question, then after that we'll hear closing argument from Ms. Reinhardt. Yes, sir. One additional question. The record is clear. Ask your question.
I just get one. I should have a moment to consider.
Then in that case, Ms. Reinhardt, please hear from your closing argument. We're going to hear from you, then we're going to close. We're going to go to executive session. Ms. Reinhardt?
Thank you. I would just like to say the city has documented that violations remain. There has been substantial work to both properties, and that work has largely also been documented by the make safe permits. However, there is no testimony here or documentation showing that the work to replace the windows is actually within the make safe permits. We do not disagree that some violations have been complied by the make safe permits, because there was a vacant property license violation for each property, and that was complied by the make safe permits that Mr. Perez did obtain. However, there is still more work to be done. The city does not object to a stay of enforcement in order to continue to do the work. However, the violations themselves do exist. The code does not consider why or how violations were created. The code is about whether those violations existed at the time that the violation was written. And in fact, as Manager Blaney testified, many of the violations do, to some extent or another, continue to exist today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to take executive session, go off the record. We'll be back. We'll return. Sir, we will return and vote in a moment. We're going to go off the record.
I would like to speak to the closing argument for just a moment.
We've heard closing argument, Mr. Chairman.
But you heard testimony after the closing argument, and I really would like to point out that the violation recited windows, doors, paneling, and weeds. And the number on the front door. And in fact, windows and doors have been replaced. I've provided an explanation that I cannot replace the paneling because the make safe violation remains to be inspected by the city, and they need to see the boards that represent fire safe markings. And to do some of the siding and not all of the siding really presents an unfair burden on a property owner. As a result, and the garage door is going to be replaced, asking me to replace the windows in the garage door when in fact they'd probably be broken again. Gratuitous. And the only violation that remains is the numbers on the door, which obviously I'm going to put up when everything is done, because unfortunately it seems like the contractors would have knocked them off. I really feel that the testimony after I gave my closing argument and the testimony that was contained but not supported by evidence